Alrighty, here we go. Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, we talk all things related to Week 7 of the 2023 fantasy football season, as the next 3 hours will comprise of me answering questions to the best of my ability regarding your starter sit questions for your rosters throughout this entire bipocalypse that is Week 7. You would think that the NFL schedule makers or the robot or the I don't know what they use to create the schedule. You would assume that if you were going to have 6 teams on bye in week 7, maybe 1 or 2 teams would be on bye week 8. But in fact, there are literally 0 teams on bye week next week, which obviously does help. It does give us a little bit of a boost of confidence going into next week. But for those of us who are trying to survive, who are trying to capture a victory here, hopefully with whatever's remaining, with whatever's available, we can go ahead and set ourselves up for success and, of course, capture a victory in week 7. A couple reminders. Over the course of the next 3 hours, I will be answering questions. If you guys are going to type in the chat and or send in a super chat, please be sure to go ahead and include your scoring format. That certainly does make a huge difference in regards to the answer to some of these questions, especially whether it's a standard, half PPR, full PPR, whether you get, 4-point per passing touchdown, 6-point per passing touchdown, that all matters. Additionally, for those of you who are looking for my up-to-date rankings, besides the rankings that are on screen currently, again, my updated top 36 running backs, top 36 wide receivers, along with top 16 tight ends and quarterbacks. This is for a half PPR scoring format on screen. For those of you who have signed up using code Andrew this offseason from August 1st to, of course, yesterday, using code Andrew via Underdog Fantasy and making that first-time deposit a minimum of $10. For those of you who have done so already, be sure to check your email. I will have already sent you an email this morning around 2 to 3 a.m. That has all of these rankings, half PPR, full PPR, flex, additionally, all that kind of jazz. For those of you who want those kind of rankings, you can either check out Patreon, or if you're eligible, you can go ahead, depending on your location, check out Underdog Fantasy. There's a link down in the description, and you can get my rankings for the remainder of the season every single Sunday. For the remainder of the year, all you got to do is sign up using code Andrew, make that first-time deposit via Underdog Fantasy, and of course, thank you very much. Okay, let's get into answering questions, shall we? On this beautiful Sunday, or at least we don't have a London game. Next week we won't have a London game either, but Week 9 and in Week 10, we'll be starting at 6 a.m. sharp on both of those weeks because, again, we'll have some Sunday, I think it's a couple of Germany games there. But either way, let's get into answering some questions, shall we? I saw that there were a couple questions in chat that I want to address first and foremost. I'll probably be referencing and or addressing these questions over the course of today's live stream on multiple different occasions. First and foremost, many of you have asked prior to the stream starting, Andrew, are we playing the Rams backfield running back? So, like I mentioned yesterday in the Saturday afternoon live stream, from the beat writers that I have, read up on, who work primarily to write on the LA Rams, the indication was that on Friday's practice, the running back order in terms of reps went Royce Freeman, Darrell Henderson, Zach Evans, Myles Gaskin. So Royce Freeman's going to get the first crack at majority of the rushing attempts. My assumption is that even though Darrell Henderson isn't at a full capacity because, again, he's coming off of the couch rather than Royce Freeman, who has been on the practice squad, my assumption is that Royce Freeman will probably at times be the early down back, while Darrell Henderson, because we know he's capable of it, is probably going to be the guy that within this offense who is comfortable with all of the jargon, is going to be the third down pass blocker / receiving back of this offense, who will also probably get himself a fair share of rushing attempts here or there. But this offense obviously doesn't trust Zach Evans. Otherwise, they wouldn't have went ahead and signed all these other guys, elevated guys from the practice squad. So those are the two. I have them ranked on screen accordingly. Also, I have Christian McCaffrey ranked as my number 1 running back, primarily because I don't know if you guys ended up seeing it, but maybe I should have retweeted it on my my X or Twitter account. Either way, on Saturday's practice, there was film. Someone recorded Christian McCaffrey, practicing, and he looked like he was going full speed, and he looked like he was ready to go. Now, even though there's a high chance that Trent Williams won't be available in Monday's game against the Minnesota Vikings, and of course, we already know Deebo Samuel is out. Of course, Christian McCaffrey is expected to play. Hopefully you have Jordan Mason and or Elijah Mitchell to handcuff him just in case something is to go wrong. But nonetheless, we're starting him in many of those scenarios because he looked fully healthy and ready to go. Okay, let's get into answering some actual direct questions. Again, if I am able to answer your question directly, fantastic. If I'm not, hopefully by proxy of answering somebody else's question or the rankings on screen can give you an indication as to where you should be going. Or if somebody in the chat can answer your question. Again, we're trying to help each other, guys. So if you can answer each other's questions, be nice. Nobody be, don't make me use the band hammer, and we're good to go, shall we? All right. I appreciate y'all. Thank you very much. All right. So we had a question beginning with FZ Ware. FZ Ware, thank you very much. It says Freeman, Charbonnet, Craig Reynolds, or Gainwell. So earlier this morning, around 2, 3, 4 a.m., when I was awake, getting rankings ready, all that kind of jazz, Zach Charbonnet there were some reports that he's pretty much not going to be available today due to a hamstring injury. We knew that was probably going to be the chance, considering the fact that, the entire week of practice, he did not participate. So between, I think you put Freeman, but I think you mean Foreman. So if it's Foreman, Craig Reynolds, or Gainwell in a PPR scoring format, I'm going to lean in the direction of playing Deontay Foreman out of the 4 that you mentioned. FZ, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Moving on. The Carolina Nurse, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Says, play Ford against Indy or Jonathan Taylor versus Cleveland. Thanks, man. Yeah, I like Jerome Ford a lot, especially with Deshaun Watson returning. Indoor stadium. The 2 interior defensive linemen, or at least one of them for sure, is suspended due to PEDs. We know that DeForest Buckner did not participate in practice on Friday, so there's a chance that he could end up missing if the 2 primary interior defensive linemen of the Indianapolis Colts are out, or at least, primarily just one of them. That opens up even more potential. Joel Bitonio, the starting left guard of the Cleveland Browns, will be back in comparison to last week, in which he missed. Jerome Ford saw himself a pretty healthy volume of rushing attempts last week, and with Kareem Hunt on that kind of game time decision position at this current moment, there's going to be a lot more opportunities for Jerome Ford. I'm going to lean in his direction rather than playing Jonathan Taylor in a position where he's going up against the best run stop defense, or one of the best in the National Football League comparatively, in an offense where they probably will have a hard time moving the ball. Thank you, Carolina Nurse. Appreciate it. Trey Curb 47, what's up? Says, who are you more comfortable starting? Royce Freeman or Deontay? Oh, okay, never mind. Okay, so there was a Freeman. So FC Ware was referring to Freeman. So if you are referring to Royce Freeman, then yes, I'd rather play him, as you can see on screen. So it wasn't okay. FZ, going back to your question, yes, Freeman would be the best out of those group of players. Now, going back to, yeah, look, this is what happens when Royce Freeman is, this is the first week that he's even anywhere relevant. I'm thinking to myself, oh, it's got to be a typo. Anyway, so moving on to Trey Curb 47's question. He says, who am I more comfortable starting, Royce Freeman or Deontay Foreman? I'm more comfortable starting Deontay Foreman, for sure. Royce Freeman, again, he's going to be in the rotation, but throughout his career, he's never been, even when he was a rookie coming out of Oregon, going to the Denver Broncos, he was never, he was never a running back that we were comfortable starting on a consistent basis. So I would probably lean in the direction of playing Deontay Foreman against the Raiders. Better matchup, everything kind of positions in that direction for me. Thank you. Appreciate it. Ozzy Reyna, thank you very much, Ozzy. I appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. It says full PPR, JSN or Javonte Williams. I'm comfortable going with Javonte Williams. Again, so we're not 100% sure as to whether or not DK Metcalf is a go today. My assumption is that he is, and if he, in fact he is, the Cardinals, they've given up their fair share of points to number 1 wide receivers of opposing offenses. So considering you're in a position to where you're wondering JSN and or Javonte Williams, I'm curious, does Javonte Williams play in the afternoon slate? He does. So this afternoon at 1:05 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the Cardinals take on the Seahawks. So about an hour prior to that game, we'll get an indication as to whether or not DK Metcalf is playing, of course, based on his overall workouts prior to the game. If in fact he is playing, then, don't worry about JSN. If Javonte, so then at that point you would play DK Metcalf, good to go. If in fact DK Metcalf is out, okay, scratch that, rewind. If in fact he is playing, then you would play Javonte Williams. If in fact he is not playing, then you would go ahead and pivot to JSN in that overall scenario, okay? Appreciate the question, Ozzy. Much love. Moving on. Jay Nice says full PPR. Chris Godwin, AJ Dillon, thoughts on Jeff Wilson Jr. Okay, so in a full PPR, if I'm comparing both those two, I'm expecting Aaron Jones to play. All the reports have said that he's going to play, and it hasn't really indicated that it's going to be at a limited capacity. So my assumption is that he'll be fine. With that overall, I'll play Chris Godwin over A.J. Dillon. As for Jeff Wilson Jr., if it wasn't such a terrible matchup per se, again, the Philly run stop defense has played very well this year. In terms of yardage allowed to opposing running backs on the ground, not great. But luckily for Jeff Wilson Jr., he is an accomplished receiving back, and he can certainly get himself a lot of utilization there. As to his overall value, obviously it's predicated on the idea that he gets a high volume of receptions and or a touchdown. It's possible. It should be a higher, scoring game in terms of total points implicated by Vegas. This should be the highest scoring game of the week. But at this current moment, he's pretty much like an RB3 with potential upside based on my rankings. I have him ranked as RB33 overall, so he's an okay play. Again, for those of you who are in desperate need, but in your position, Jay Nice, yeah, you're comfortable playing with Chris Godwin and or AJ Dillon ahead of him. Thank you for the question. All right, Boone says half PPR, Rashad White or Jordan Addison. Okay, let me go ahead. Let me reference my rankings. So let's go ahead, Control F. Addison. So we have Addison there, and then where is Rashad White? I'm going to assume that I have Addison ahead of him by a pretty sizable margin. Let me confirm this. There's, okay. Yeah, I have Jordan Addison ahead of Rashad White this week. If the matchup again was better for Rashad White, I'd have more hope. If they can consistently run the ball on the goal line or in the red zone, I'd have more hope. But unfortunately, those two things have been quite, I would say, not a consistent factor of this offense. They don't run the ball much, and even when they do, it's relatively inefficient. They don't pass the ball much to their running backs out of the backfield, and they don't really utilize him at a high capacity in the red zone outside of that 1 week against Chicago, which was, of course, his best game of the season against a very bad run-stop defense. Nonetheless, yeah, I'll take Jordan Addison there. Thank you. Appreciate the question. All right, moving on from Boone, we had a question from Jack Darjean. Jack, hope you're doing well. Says start 2, Jordan Addison, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jerome Ford, Chris Godwin, James Cook, full PPR. Out of this entire group of running backs, Jahmyr Gibbs and not even running backs, just players in general. Jahmyr Gibbs, first and foremost, I would want to play against Baltimore today, especially in a full PPR, if he gets himself a pretty good workload of opportunity in the receiving game. Outside of him, it's probably Jerome Ford. So I'd go Jahmyr Gibbs and Jerome Ford here. The third best option, most likely, is Chris Godwin. But yeah, I'll go Gibbs and Ford there. Thank you, Jack. Appreciate it. Moving on to Bale Kim. Bale, hope you're doing well. Says full PPR. Traded Ravens defense for Brian Robinson. Thoughts? I don't know how you ended up accomplishing that, but yeah, well done. I don't get it. As long as you ended up winning the trade, congratulations. We'll just leave it at that. Okay, moving on. Chris Kitch sends in a question, says full PPR, KJ Osborne, Zach Moss, Jaylen Warren. In a full PPR scoring format, I would probably end up going with Jaylen Warren there. Jaylen Warren's a solid 10 points each of the last, I would say 4 games of the season within a full PPR scoring format, scoring like 10 to 12 points at that point, especially in a matchup where we're anticipating I guess somewhat of a competitive game and or a negative game script for the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. There will be a lot of utilization of Jaylen Warren in the receiving game. I'm comfortable rolling with him in that regard. Thank you. All right, we had a question that came in. Let's see here. So we took care of Chris. We had one from Tristan. Let me find that right now. All right, Tristan Ewing, thank you very much. Tristan says, full PPR. I need a flex and a running back. We have Marquise Hollywood Brown, JSN, and Christian Watson. Okay, so out of those 3 options, I'll take Marquise Hollywood Brown and Christian Watson. Again, JSN is one of my hidden gems, so I'm not like 1,000% blind to the idea that he is still the number 3 wide receiver option of this offense, and he's still the number 4 option of this offense overall behind Kenneth Walker, DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett. I still think that JSN is going to be a solid play, but in comparison to Marquise Hollywood Brown, who's had 10 plus targets in 4 out of the last 5 games, and Christian Watson, who always has the ability on one singular play to go 70 yards and a touchdown and make his entire fantasy week off one singular play, had a 26.5, A dot last time out prior to the bye week. The expectation is those 2 receiving options are far better. So I would go with those 2 over JSN. As for your follow-up question, Tristan, Rashad White or Darrell Henderson, I would go with Rashad White there. Far more opportunity as a starting primary running back of an offense in comparison to someone who's probably going to be rotated a lot and may not get too many touches overall, but maybe used as a pass blocking back for majority of the game. All right, so I did see a couple of you mention that you want defense and kicker rankings. I do have a graphic for that. We are ready, prepared. All we got to do is we got to get me to at least 300 likes, right? There's about 771 of you here. If you guys haven't clicked the like button, it takes 2 seconds out of your day, but it helps the channel out a bunch. I as much as you hear it from other, channels, the algorithm does make a difference. So all you got to do, click the like button, get us to 300 likes. I'm more than happy to share top 12 kickers and defenses. I'll transition the graphic on screen the up-to-date rankings so that you guys can see it, so I don't have to kind of one by one read through it and have you guys confused. But if we can do that, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you. Hector Gonzalez says Madison or Myers. Going into okay, it depends on the scoring format. Let me check where I have them in a half PPR, and then I'll let you know. Let's see here. So in a half PPR, I have Madison at 45 and Myers at 46, literally back to back. In a full PPR, I have Myers ahead of Madison. So half PPR, it's pretty much back to back one another, kind of coin flip that thing. But Madison's just one spot ahead of him, and then in a full PPR, it is clearly Myers. Thank you. Okay, let's see here. After Hector Gonzalez's question, again, thank you for that. Chris All In says full PPR, Deontay Foreman or Aaron Jones. Yeah, I'm very comfortable playing Aaron Jones there. Again, if he wasn't healthy, he wouldn't be playing. So my assumption, especially considering like he didn't play against the Las Vegas Raiders last time out. He went on a bye week. Like if he wasn't at a full capacity, they just signed James Robinson. They could very comfortably win this game without him. So I'm under the assumption that he's ready to go. And even though he was limited every day of the week at practice, it was more of a ramp-up kind of scenario there. So I would play Aaron Jones against the best matchup at the running back position. I am relatively, I would say, conservative on his ranking, primarily because, I don't want to get burnt in a lot of these scenarios because, again, we will probably see a good amount of A.J. Dillon today, but nonetheless, I think Aaron Jones is a great play. As for Giants or Lions defense, as soon as we get to 300 likes, Chris, we'll get there to show everyone. But in regards to answering your question directly, I do have the Lions defense about 2 spots ahead of the Giants. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, let's see here. After Chris Allin's question, we find ourselves answering GV's question. GV, thank you. It says, Ezekiel Elliott, Craig Reynolds, or Elijah Mitchell, half PPR scoring format. Again, as you can see on screen, the rankings that are on screen are for a half PPR scoring format updated as of this morning. So between those 3 players, Mitchell, Craig Reynolds, and Ezekiel Elliott. Craig Reynolds is number 37. Obviously that's not on screen, but he's just off the screen. So I'll take Mitchell there at 34 ahead of Zeke at 36 and Craig Reynolds at 37. Thank you. Moving on from GV's question, we have Flotation Swag. Flotation, hope you're doing well. Says trade Dobbs for JMO and Daniel Jones and $10 a fab. Trade Josh. Yeah, why not? Why? At this point, why not? Kyler Murray's coming back in, a 21-day window? So probably within the next 3 weeks. So if you're trading away Josh Dobbs and you're getting back Jameson Williams, if I'm not mistaken, there's a high likelihood that today Marvin Jones Jr. is not going to be active, which will definitely open up the participation in terms of snap counts and overall routes ran by Jameson Williams. So that'll definitely help him get more established within this offense. But yeah, I like that trade. That's fine by me, Flotation. Thank you. Anthony Barrett sends in a question, says full PPR trade, Jaylen Warren or Deontay Johnson. Full PPR trade, Jaylen Warren for Deontay Johnson. I'm fine with that. If you need the wide receiver depth, I think that certainly helps you in a full PPR capacity. Thank you. Skizzy says full PPR, flex, Godwin or Jonathan Taylor. I'll play Godwin there. I'm comfortable with that. Thank you. Marcus Parker says, pick one, James Cook, Amari Cooper, Sam Laporta for the flex. Okay, so I'm going to assume this is for a half PPR. If it is, let's see. If I'm not mistaken, I probably have Amari Cooper ranked the highest of the bunch. Let me confirm here. James Cook's at 34. Amari Cooper, where art thou, Amari? Yeah, Amari Cooper's ahead of him. So of the bunch, Amari Cooper is the highest ranked. So we go Amari number 1, James Cook number 2, Sam Laporta number 3, Marcus Parker. And then your follow-up question is, and which quarterback is the safest / biggest upside between Howell, Goff, Kirk, and Watson? I would say that the safest / biggest upside is Jared Goff. Just like he presented last week to us, he could go for 330 plus yards in an away game against a pretty solid defense, throw for 2 touchdowns, and be a great overall play in that regard. So I would say that Goff is probably the safest, has pretty solid upside. I don't trust, I don't trust Kirk Cousins at all. I think Deshaun Watson, that game could get out of hand relatively quickly in regards to the Indianapolis Colts offense not really able to move the ball consistently, which could obviously lend to more rushing in the second half rather than passing from a guy like Deshaun Watson after he does all the damage in the first half. Sam Howell could be of upside. I think Sam Howell, even though he's had himself really great games, and he's had himself a lot of these shootouts. I'm not 100% bought in on the idea that he's going to be able to outscore a guy like Jared Goff this week. So I'm going Goff there. Thank you. All right, we are 5 likes away. 5 likes. Oh, we need 5 more people, and I'll go ahead and I'll transition the rankings on screen to show top 12 kickers and defenses. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. All right, Deeb C or Deb C. Thank you very much for the super chat. Says, I need to drop one for a kicker. Half PPR, Elijah Mitchell, Jaleel McLaughlin, Kareem Hunt, Keontae Ingram, Khalil Herbert, Zach Moss. I would end up dropping Keontae Ingram. Like I mentioned yesterday, or even primarily, I think I've mentioned this on multiple occasions in the last couple weeks. The upcoming schedule for the Arizona Cardinals is, it's brutal. The run-stop defenses that they take on in the next 2 weeks. So this week they have Seattle, which is obviously a good run-stopping defense. Then they have Baltimore, and then they have Cleveland. By the time that's all done, James Conner will be back from the injured reserve. So at this point, I'm comfortable dropping Keontae Ingram because I don't feel like he is a guy that you'd end up even considering playing in the coming weeks here. Thank you, Debsy. All right, we were able to surpass 300 likes. Thank you very much, guys. So as promised, again, we've gone ahead, transition the rankings on screen. As you guys can see, kicker rankings, defensive rankings, team defense. So Jake Elliott, my number 1 kicker. Matt Gay, my number 12 kicker. So 1 through 12, boom. Team defenses, Buffalo Bills, my number 1 defense. Number 12, Chicago Bears. Okay? So I'll go ahead and I'll transition back to the regular rankings in a moment, but just wanted to go ahead and present these to you guys so that we're all on the same page. I'll leave that up for a couple moments. AJ97 sends in a super chat. Thank you. Says, I have Calvin Ridley. Drop 1 point for me. Yeah, join the club. We're all... the fact that we can get into a situation where Calvin Ridley is seeing less targets than Jamal Agnew within a given week, just... It really does express just how little utilization he's getting within that offense and how little attention he's pulling from Trevor Lawrence. There really isn't a concerted effort to, hey, we got to get Calvin Ridley the ball X amount of times early in this game to get him going. They don't even care. They're just an offense that is going to, I guess, roll, with the punches. And I don't know, man. It is tough. At this point, going forward, Calvin Ridley's like a wide receiver 3 until otherwise noted. As for your follow-up question, which of the 3 players do I start? Rice, Foreman, Jonathan Taylor. Of those 3, if I'm starting one of the options, I probably feel most comfortable playing Jonathan Taylor number 1. Yeah, that would be the guy that I would like to roll with. Also, I have Patrick Mahomes. I would only run that stack if we're like super desperate. I guess in your scenario, having Calvin really drop 1 point, you're technically super desperate, but it would have to be like a full PPR format, and I still think that Jonathan Taylor probably catches a pretty good, volume of passes out of the backfield and could very easily see another huge jump in terms of his snap count usage and rushing attempt opportunities. So I'll probably still continue to lean towards Jonathan Taylor or AJ. Thank you. Moving on, Kristen Ewing sends in a follow-up question. Says, Purdy, Howell, or Love, full PPR? Yeah, I'll take Purdy there this week. Dave Curtis says, full PPR, pick 2, Madison, Gabe Davis, or McLaughlin. Madison, Gabe Davis, McLaughlin. Yeah, I'll play Madison and Gabe Davis there. Thank you, Dave Curtis. Appreciate it. Moving on, we had a question that came in from Anthony Barrett. Where the heck did that go? Anthony Barrett says, PPR, start 3, A.J. Brown, Chris Godwin, Gabe Davis, DJ Moore. A.J. Brown obviously is a must-start in a full PPR. Chris Godwin additionally is also a must-start. I would also probably end up playing DJ Moore there as the number 3 option. I think in a full PPR scoring format, DJ Moore will probably see himself a high volume of targets within this offense with Tyson Bagent as a starting quarterback. Even though he's a D2 guy, going up against that secondary of the Las Vegas Raiders, DJ Moore's been able to produce games where he's had Will Grier at quarterback, PJ Walker, the Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold of the world over the last couple of years, Kyle Allen, hurt Cam Newtons. So I'm not too worried about DJ Moore there. So yeah, I'm comfortable going with AJ Brown, Godwin, DJ Moore in a full PPR. Anthony, thank you. Shannon Yoon says full PPR flex, James Cook or Deontay Johnson. In that scenario, I'll go with James Cook. Thank you. Moving on, we have Kevin Smith. Hope you're doing well, Kevin. Says full PPR. I need 2 from Sutton, Rice, and Waller. Between those 3 options, I would probably end up playing Sutton and Waller. Thank you. Tommy D says, hi, Andrew. Is it worth me adding a player? Sorry. Is it worth me adding and playing Warren in the flex or just roll with Jeff Wilson Jr. In a standard scoring format? So under the assumption that we don't get the points out of those 2 or 3 Receptions, maybe even 4 receptions. So that's like a 2-point spread there. Let me actually go check what Jalen Warren looks like in a standard scoring format in comparison to, let's go game weeks 1 through 7. So in a standard scoring format, the last 4 games have been 8.6, 5.2, 5.4, and 7.9. I'd probably still end up playing Jalen Warren there. I think he'd probably see himself more touches of opportunity in comparison to Jeff Wilson Jr. this week. And honestly, yeah, he doesn't have as much touchdown upside comparatively, which does make a huge difference. But I think Raheem Mostert probably bottles up majority of that workload anyway for the Dolphins offense. So I don't mind making the switch. The only question would be, Tommy, like, are we swapping Warren for Jeff Wilson, like straight up 1-for-1, or do you have to drop somebody else? That's a whole nother thing. So if it's too much of a hassle to make that swap, then don't worry about it. Just play Jeff Wilson. Let's hope for the upside of a touchdown. But otherwise, yeah, I don't mind it. All right, K Styles, that's very generous of you. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. It says, please help with my lineup. All right, K Styles, what do we have here? Full PPR, Mahomes, Diggs, Allen, okay, Bijan, ETN, Waller, Kenneth Walker. Okay, so you got a stacked lineup. Puka Nacua, Gabe Davis, DJ Moore, Christian Watson on the bench. Any changes to my lineup? I mean, no. You've just got too good of a team, to be honest. Actually, let me think about this. Would I play Puka Nacua over Bijan? Let me check my, what is this, a full PPR? You kind of have to play Bijan Robinson. Even if I have it ranked differently, I think you just play Bijan. You don't even worry about it. Let's see here. Who do I have ranked higher in a full PPR? If I go to my rankings, Puka's there, and yeah, I have Puka ahead of Bijan in a full PPR. But at this point, just play Bijan Robinson. You've got too stacked of a team anyway. It's not a one-man league. Yeah, I would assume it's definitely not a one-man league. It's 10 teams. You've definitely drafted yourself a monster squad. So I think you're good to go there. K-Styles, thank you. Appreciate it. J-Rod with a very generous super chat. Thank you, J-Rod. I greatly appreciate it, my man. Says Andrew. Okay, thank you. That's very, I appreciate the compliment. Just looking for your perspective on my roster. 12-man league, full PPR. I have Justin Herbert, Tony Pollard, Saquon, Breece Hall. Okay, really good top 3 running backs. Great quarterback. Royce and Chuba Hubbard, that's fine. Jeff Wilson Jr. We have CeeDee Lamb, Puka Nacua. We have Pickens. We have Ridley. We have Collins. We have Palmer. We have Hawkinson. I mean, look, this is a real... If CeeDee Lamb can stay consistent, Puka Nacua will be your solid wide receiver 2 going forward because obviously Ridley can't be trusted in that regard. Collins could also be your wide receiver 2 going forward. Hawkinson should never be replaced. Neither should Justin Herbert. Pollard, Saquon, and Breece Hall are going to be fantastic, especially now that you get a healthy Saquon back and a full capacity Breece Hall going forward. I think this is a really good team. Obviously, we'd love that Ridley could do potentially more, but I don't think you need him to, considering how stacked of a roster you have across the board. So I'm not complaining here at all. I wouldn't even make any moves. I think you've got the pieces in place. Unless you're going to move like Ridley and Collins and get an upgrade at wide receiver, I think you're good to go there, J-Rod. Thank you. Matthew Rosado says, start 2.5 PPR scoring format. We have Foreman, we have Moss, we have Najee Harris, we have Mason. Out of that group, half PPR, rankings are on screen. Of the players that you mentioned, I have Foreman and Harris ranked highest out of the bunch. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, so let me go ahead and let me transition the rankings back to quarterback and tight end. For those of you who are wondering, again, rankings that are on screen as of right now are up to date as of this morning. So I just transitioned from our top 12 kickers and defense on screen to once again showing top 16 quarterbacks and tight ends. Again, for those of you who are here, welcome. If you haven't yet already, do me a solid, click the like button down below. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to try to answer as many questions as possible, whether it's directly or by proxy of somebody else's. Again, if you've signed up using code Andrew via Underdog Fantasy since August 1st of 2023, be sure to go ahead and check your email, because if you signed up and you use code Andrew, made that first time deposit minimum of $10, you'll have my rankings already sent to your email. Be sure to check your spam folder because it may have been lost there. Thank you. Let's see here. Ben in the chat was asking, where does JSN rank if DK Metcalf is out? That's a really good question. If in fact DK Metcalf is out, Tyler Lockett would jump to 13. So Tyler Lockett would take the place of DK Metcalf. And then JSN would probably jump, I would say probably ahead of, JSN would jump ahead of DJ Moore. That's where I would move him. Thank you. All right, moving on. We had a question from Colin Smith. Colin, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. It says London or Watson. In a full PPR, I'm comfortable going with Christian Watson there. Thank you. I think London's a great play, and he's played extremely well over the course of the last 4 weeks here. But I think Christian Watson, the matchup and his potential upside overall in comparison is quite favorable. Thank you. Moving on to TD. Sends a question, says full PPR, Judy, Hunt, Jameson Williams. Let me see here. Who do I have ranked higher in a full PPR? Is it Judy or is it Kareem Hunt or the alternative, Jameson Williams? So Jameson Williams sits there. Let me check. Where do I... Okay, cool. All right, Judy's there. And then where is Kareem Hunt comparatively? Where is Kareem Hunt? Okay, Kareem Hunt is way lower down in the rankings, considering he's still a game time decision. And does Kareem Hunt play in the morning slate? Let me just confirm this. He does play in the morning slate. So yeah, if I'm you, I probably end up playing Jerry Judy out of the bunch. I don't love the play. If you want to just go for the risk it for the biscuit play, you just play Jameson Williams there. I have him just slightly behind Judy, but obviously Jameson Williams needs a huge touchdown grab or a huge play down the field. We know that Marlon Humphreys earlier today, he may not play because he's dealing with an illness. He may have, he got sick in the last couple of days. So if in fact Marlon Humphreys doesn't play and he is in the inactive list, I'd go Jameson Williams there because we know that Marcus Williams is also out and Kevon Seymour is also out. So I would lean towards playing JMO there. Otherwise, I would say Judy's probably the best play in a full PPR there. Thank you. Appreciate the question, TD. All right, let's see here. We had a couple more questions sent in via Super Chat. Just trying to catch up there, and then we'll get to answering questions in the chat. I do appreciate you guys being patient with that. So we had a question from Certified. All right, Certified, where is your question? Let me go ahead and scroll. Here it is. It says, more likely to boom, Rashee Rice or Josh Palmer? I think it's probably Josh Palmer. With so many wide receivers rotating within that offense, I would lean towards the idea that Josh Palmer has the bigger boom performance. Also, if you just look at the last couple games that we have seen between these two teams, it's always a one possession game at the very end. It's either like 3 to 6 points that one of these teams either wins or loses. In the last couple games, we've seen like a lot of these games have gone to overtime. It's either been a loss one way or the other, but these are really close games. These are very high scoring games, and I think that the number 2 receiving option of the Chargers offense, specifically being Josh Palmer, has a little bit more potential upside, or at least more guaranteed upside of a boom performance, in my opinion. Thank you. Moving on, we have Raj. Raj says, drop Craig Reynolds for Jaleel McLaughlin. As a David Montgomery owner, I need to start one of these two. I know McLaughlin is ranked higher this week. More long-term. I think Jaleel McLaughlin is the long-term guy. I don't expect David Montgomery to be out for more than 1 to 2 weeks. And if Jahmyr Gibbs is active, I wouldn't even trust playing Craig Reynolds to much of a capacity. If you go back to earlier this season, in the game in which David Montgomery missed, in that contest, Craig Reynolds saw very little utilization when they had, Jahmyr Gibbs as the starting RB1. And with that, expectation of probably them repeating what they did in the past, I would be very comfortable swapping for Jaleel McLaughlin, not only to help you for this week and for future weeks, considering he's playing far more within that offense. Thank you. Let's see here. We had a question that came in from Rockout. Thank you. It says Love or Purdy, and I have Ayuk. Yeah, listen, I already have Purdy ranked higher. I think Purdy is the better play within the given week. I think Jordan Love's a fantastic play. Don't get me wrong, but he just needs to clean up his game a little bit more. And I think with Aaron Jones coming back, I think the running game will be a little bit more prevalent within that offense in terms of their overall play calling. But yeah, if Jordan Love could go from his 50% passing completion percentage to 62%, he would be so much better for fantasy purposes. There'd be so much more upside in terms of yardage and so far more fantasy points in general because they'd be able to complete drives rather than a lot of more, 3-and-out punt situations. But for right now, yes, I'm comfortable playing Purdy. Thank you. Kristen Ewing says, full PPR, Hollywood Brown over Watson. Yeah, I'm comfortable with that. There's going to be far more target opportunity for Hollywood Brown and probably more, receiving opportunity in that regard, considering probably 10 plus targets most likely. Let's see here. We had a question that came in from Rockout again. Says, we playing McLaurin over Javonte in a full PPR? Let me confirm that. I would probably venture to say yes. Let's see, McLaurin. McLaurin sits at number 25 in my flex, and Javante's not even close. So, yeah. Again, the Terry McLaurin play primarily has to do with the fact that throughout his entire career, every single game he has played against the New York Giants, he has never put up a dud performance. He's always had 10 or more fantasy points every single game against the New York Giants. He always comes out to ball out. So the expectation is most likely another big game here this week. So I lean there. Thank you. Dylan sends in a question. Thank you, Dylan. Says, thoughts on Ertz ranking? Is McBride eating in? So McBride did see himself a lot of target opportunity last week, but when you go ahead and just look at the routes ran and the overall snap counts, Zach Ertz is still running more routes, and he's probably still going to be the primary number one. I do believe that Trey McBride needs to probably get himself more utilization within this offense, and probably we'll see a transition as we progress, especially if, in fact, we may be in a situation where the Arizona Cardinals potentially trade Zach Ertz prior to the trade deadline in about 9 days. So there may be a potential transition here quickly until a trade does happen, assuming Zach Ertz doesn't get traded to somewhere like the Dallas Cowboys, who are in need of another receiving option there. If, Jake Ferguson can't pull his own weight, maybe he gets traded to the Los Angeles Chargers. I don't know. There's always different chances there, but nonetheless, maybe he goes to the Buffalo. No, the Buffalo Bills already drafted their tight end. Who's another team that needs a tight end? I'm trying to think. Maybe I was going to say Miami Dolphins. Maybe they just go all out. They just bring in him and say, forget it to Durham Smythe. Anyway, moving on. I do think that Zach Ertz is still going to be the primary, considering he's still running the most routes. Even though he didn't see as much target opportunity last week, I'm still comfortable with him against the Seattle Seahawks. He typically balls out in the matchup. Thank you. Nathan J. sends in a question. Says, Andrew, full PPR. Are we trusting Devonta Smith over Watson? Yes, I am. I know Devonta Smith has been very underwhelming as of late, but based on the idea that this offense is going to have to throw for majority of the game in order to keep up with the Miami Dolphins, I'm pretty comfortable with the idea that Devonta Smith is going to be a huge option in a full PPR. Again, 11 targets last week. He ends up, making plays on those 2 drops. A couple of those inaccurate passes here or there. We have ourselves over 100 yards and potentially even scoring. So I'm fine with Devonta Smith there. Thank you. Haram sends in a question. Says, full PPR. Pick one. Judy, Foreman, Javonte, or Wan'Dale Robinson. I'm fairly certain it's going to be Javonte Williams, but let me just confirm. Javonte Williams, I have the ranked the highest amongst the group in a full PPR. The second highest out of this group would probably end up being Wan'Dale Robinson. Thank you for your question, Haram. Shane sends in a question. Thank you, Shane. Says, love the videos. PPR, trade Kamara for Pollard. I mean, I probably wouldn't. In a full PPR scoring format, Kamara's caught 35 passes in the last 4 games, nearly 10 catches per game. I mean, that volume of opportunity on top of the fact that he's the primary goal line back and Derek Carr is the check down king, I think it would be difficult for me at this moment to trade for Pollard, considering how much that offense truly is in shambles. And their goal line utilization of Pollard isn't really great. The way that they utilize him first, second downs in terms of plugging him up at the middle. They've been relatively irresponsible with the usage of Pollard, so I'd probably just end up keeping Kamara there. I don't mind the pivot. I think it's more of a slight downgrade / lateral move, considering Pollard doesn't get as much receiving upside as we'd love to see. But I think Kamara is just kind of, I think he is the better option going forward, considering I don't expect Derek Carr to ever be replaced within that offense, considering how much money they threw in his face this offseason. Thank you. Stephen Bowen, thank you very much for the question. Says, I'm trying to fill out the final 2 flex spots in my full PPR. Also, it's a half point per carry league. I have Gibbs. I have AJ Brown. Sorry, that's not AJ Brown. I have Aaron Jones. I saw AJ and I immediately went to AJ Brown. I have Gibbs. I have Aaron Jones. I have Davis. I have Foreman, and I have Darrell Henderson. Out of that group, I'd be very comfortable playing Jahmyr Gibbs and Aaron Jones. Both of them are going to get receiving utilization. Both of them are going to take advantage of the half point per carry. Those are my 2 suggestions there, Gibbs and Aaron Jones. Thank you, Steven. Appreciate it. Xanthius Sutton says, pick 2 running backs. I ran JT and Zach Moss last week. Pick 2 running backs? What do you mean pick 2 running backs? I don't understand. Hey, is there more context to this question, Xanthius? Let me see. Xanthius. Okay, here we go. So here's the full extended question. Full PPR, pick 2 running backs. Jonathan Taylor, Zach Moss, Jahmyr Gibbs, Najee Harris. Jeff Wilson Jr. Was that Royce Freeman? Okay, so out of the group that you mentioned, I would feel most comfortable in a full PPR playing Jonathan Taylor alongside of Jahmyr Gibbs there. Thank you. Appreciate the question, Xanthius. Alrighty, after Xanthius' question, we move on to Where art thou? Where art thou? Okay, so we have Marvin. Marvin, thank you very much. Says, my go to Andrew. I have Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon in a full PPR. Who do I play? Seems like Jones is going to be this on a snap count. Is that what's going to be the case? Let's look this up. Let's go to the Twitter. Let's see what the reports say. All right, let's see here. It says that was 8 hours ago, though. Intends to play. I don't really see. Let me see if there's any latest reports on him. Okay. Yeah, I don't see anything specifically in terms of the reliable sources that says anything regarding him being limited or on a snap count. So until a report comes out, Marvin, that suggests that he is going to be on a snap count, I'm still going to play Aaron Jones over AJ Dillon until I hear otherwise. Okay. Thank you, Marvin. Appreciate it. Teddy H says start 2 running backs, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. Okay. So here's your options. So you have Brian Robinson, Alexander Madison, Zach Moss, Najee Harris, Curtis Samuel, Josh Palmer, Jameson Williams. So 2 running backs. Brian Robinson Jr., number 1. Alexander Madison, number 2. I think I'm very confident with those 2. Moving on to the wide receiver conversation, I'll take Josh Palmer out of that group. And in the flex position, if I'm starting one of these options, it's probably Zach Moss and a half, or sorry, it's probably either, let me think about this. It's Najee Harris and a half, and it's likely Curtis Samuel in a full. Thank you. Appreciate it. Why is Njoku ahead of Logan Thomas? Says FK8. Primarily because of the return of Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson's return, good matchup against the Indianapolis Colts. Pretty comfortable there. All right, let's see here. Moving on to Michael Ortiz's question. Says, GOAT, my brother. Full PPR. Are we starting Purdy over Geno? Yes, I am. I like Geno a lot today, but I think there's a potential in which in that game we could end up seeing, yes, a lot of passing yardage, a lot of receiving yards from the threats within that Seattle Seahawks offense, but we could also end up seeing Kenneth Walker have 3 rushing touchdowns and kill the value of Geno Smith. It's also possible that Christian McCaffrey's capable of doing so. I just think it's less likely. So for right now, I'm comfortable just rolling with Purdy there in the given week. I think Purdy's going to look to exact some revenge this week comparatively. I know Geno Smith obviously wants to prove that they can get the job done in the red zone. I think their red zone woes from last week was due to a lack of rushing attempts down there, and it'll probably go in the direction of Kenneth Walker a lot today. Thank you. As for your follow-up question, Michael, says, I have the Eagles defense tonight, plus schedule doesn't look good. Should I drop them for a stream? Yeah, I'd be comfortable dropping them for a stream. Yeah, the next couple weeks, they have obviously some pretty tough matchups. I mean, for the remainder of the season, they've got a pretty tough schedule either way. Thank you. Flotation Sacks says, I sent you a message on Twitter/X. Let me know. Okay, let's see here. What did you end up sending, Flotation? All right, so the question is, anything I need to change in my lineup? Okay, let's see. Here we go. So we have Cousins. We have Carr, who played well on Thursday. That's great. You have Justice Hill. You have Gus Edwards as your 2 starting running backs. That's rough, man. Dobbs, Chris Olave, Diggs, Kittle, Keontae Ingram. Okay. You have OBG. Yeah, no. Okay. Huh. Okay. So the only thing that I would ever suggest rotating, if Marvin Jones is not active, Flotation, which we'll know probably within... Let me actually check. Let me look this up. Let me see if he's active or not. If Marvin Jones is not active today, let's see here. Marvin Jones and David Montgomery are out as of 26 minutes ago. So with Marvin Jones out, I'm pretty comfortable with the idea that you play Keontae Ingram as your RB2, and then you end up benching Justice Hill, and then potentially ending up playing Jameson Williams in your flex there. So that'd be my only suggestion there. Flotation, thank you, appreciate it. Moving on, we have a question from, let's see here. Yo Vinny WTF says, Foreman or Musgrave in the flex? I'd probably feel pretty comfortable going with Foreman there. Yeah. If it's a full PPR, I'll take Musgrave, but I otherwise in a half standard, I'll go with Foreman. Thank you. Let's see. Rockstar says, Hollywood or Flowers in a full PPR flex. In a full PPR scoring format, I'd probably still end up going with Zay Flowers. The expectation is a pretty good workload of opportunity today as they'll be throwing for majority of the contest. Thank you. Let's see here. Seymour Cars says, pick 2, full PPR, Taylor, Ford, Lockett, Stevenson. In a full PPR scoring format, I'd probably go with Ford alongside of Lockett there. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's see here. We had a question that came in from Mario Lerma. It says, Deontay Johnson or Sam Laporta flex full PPR. Let me see who I have ranked higher. I'm fairly certain it's going to be Sam Laporta ranked higher. Let me just confirm it. Control F. Let's see. Laporta's there. And yes, he is ahead of Deontay Johnson in a full PPR. He's going to get himself a lot of target opportunity today, especially considering, how well the Baltimore Ravens run stop defense is. Should be a lot of passing opportunities for the Detroit Lions offense. All right, let's see here. Moving on to the next question, we have Kate Pereira. Kate Pereira says, RB2 in a flex. We have Christian McCaffrey, James Cook, Foreman, Jaylen Warren. Yeah, I'm comfortable rolling with Christian McCaffrey there alongside of James Cook. I would hope that you have someone like Jordan Mason or Elijah Mitchell on roster just in case tomorrow's Christian McCaffrey play does not come to fruition and maybe some sort of setback takes place. But considering what I saw yesterday in terms of him practicing, I'm pretty comfortable with the idea that he will be participating in tomorrow's game against the Minnesota Vikings. So yeah, Christian McCaffrey and James Cook are my suggestions there, Pereira. Thank you. We had a question from Trude Boy. Trude Boy says, what's up, Andrew? I need a flex. Michael Pittman Jr., Curtis Samuel, Deontay Foreman, and or Zach Moss. If it's let me think about this. Let's go find my half PPR rankings. Let's see if I have Pittman ahead of Zach Moss in a half PPR. Let's see. Where is Zach Moss on this list? Control F, maybe, yeah. Yeah, so I have Michael Pittman Jr. ahead of Zach Moss in both half and full PPR rankings. So to answer your question, Trude Boy, he would be my suggestion of the bunch. Thank you. Appreciate it. You're 6-0, huh? Wow. Congratulations. That means you've avoided the injury bug that all of us are unfortunately dealing with over the course of the season. But congratulations. Job's not done, though. We got to keep stacking up wins there. Charles R., thank you very much for the super chat. Says, half-point PPR, rest of season, James Cook or Jeff Wilson Jr.? I would much rather have James Cook. Not even close, actually, because Devon Achane returns eventually. Moving on, also Nico Collins or Jordan Addison. Rest of season, Nico Collins. Thank you. Appreciate it. Matt says, Brian Robinson or Jacoby Myers in a full PPR. I would go with Brian Robinson Jr. there. Thank you. If Jimmy Garoppolo was playing, the answer would be the opposite, but considering he's not and it's going to be Brian Hoyer this afternoon, I'd go with Brian Robinson. Thank you. Samuel sends in a question. Thank you very much, Samuel. Says, non-PPR, do I flex Devontae Smith or Jahmyr Gibbs? In a non-PPR scoring format, wow. I don't really have standard rankings, so if I'm just going to play this off the top of my head as to who I'd rather play, if I'm not getting any points per reception, I'd probably end up playing Jahmyr Gibbs this week. Thank you. Juan Munoz says, let's see here. Juan, where's your question? Says, send a super chat with my question. Well, the question wasn't attached, so yeah. So if you could do me a favor, Juan, just type in the chat and I'll be able to get to your question. Thank you. Leo Benjamin says Howell or Geno. Howell has been more consistent. He certainly has. I just think that the matchup against the Arizona Cardinals is a little bit more favorable in comparison. I think that the biggest issue that I have with Sam Howell today, his biggest flaw isn't himself. It's the team that surrounds him, unfortunately. It's the fact that his offensive line has allowed the most sacks this season. He is on pace to set the record for most sacks allowed, or most, quarterback sacks in a season. So he's going to break the record that David Carr set in his rookie year. So I think he's on pace for 96 sacks. He's going to get hit a lot today, especially considering the defensive coordinator of the Giants. He likes to scheme up a lot of blitz packages, and there's a pretty high likelihood that he's just going to continue to blitz the entire game and get to Sam Howell and make him super uncomfortable. So I just like Geno in that regard. That's the only reason that Howell is as low as he is because his offensive line is just, it's not good at all. Has not played well. Then they don't protect him enough. JD says PPR pick one. Elijah Moore, Tutu Atwell, Kendrick Bourne, Michael Mayer, or Darrell Henderson. Out of that group, if I'm playing just one of them, I'd probably just lean towards Kendrick Bourne there. Thank you. Let's hear. Alex Apking says, I need one for the flex full PPR. We have Chris Godwin. We have Curtis Samuel. We have, or we wait until Monday and play Jordan Mason if Christian McCaffrey doesn't go. Of the group, I would feel most comfortable rolling with Chris Godwin in a full PPR. Thank you, Alex. Thank you. Appreciate it. Moving on from the ground up. Okay, it says, in my league that offers 6-point bonuses for quarterback rushing. Okay. In the regular, in regular 6, okay. Sam Howell or Geno Smith. Also full PPR, Curtis Samuel with less targets or Josh Downs. Curtis Samuel with less targets or Josh Downs. I would probably still play Curtis Samuel. He's such a huge part of that offense down in the red zone. So Curtis Samuel is kind of just built in within that offense there. So I'd play Curtis there. Alongside of, I mean, I'd like to stack him with Sam Howell. I just feel far more comfortable rolling with Geno Smith there. Thank you. Eric sent in a question, but there wasn't anything attached to it. Eric says, messed up super chat. Full PPR running backs are Mostert, Ford, Gibbs, flex 1, and or Flowers. Flex 1 or Flowers. Yeah, I'd rather just play Mostert out of the group. Like, if I was to rank these players in a full PPR, it would probably go... let me actually check. Do I have Flowers ahead of Gibbs? I don't think I do. Let me just confirm. So, I have Gibbs there. Actually, I do have Flowers ahead of him. So, it would go Mostert, Flowers, Gibbs, Ford in a full PPR in that order, Eric Cotis. Thank you. All right, let me see it. Let me see if Juan Munoz typed in the chat. Anything, Juan? Anything? Let's see. Let's update to the bottom. I don't see anything from Juan. It's just, yeah. If you're still there, Juan, do me a favor. Type in the chat whenever you get a chance. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Moving on. We had a question that came in from Steve. Steve says, RB2 till Kyron returns. Half PPR, Ford, Sanders, Gus, Murray. Yeah, it's Ford for sure. Thank you. Moving on. We had Frank Hernandez says, love the content. Cortland Sutton or Deontay Foreman in a full PPR. Considering it's a full PPR format, I'd probably go with Cortland Sutton there. Even if Cortland Sutton has himself 6 catches for 60 yards at the end of the day, he probably is relative. I mean, I think that you would need to get Deontay Foreman in the end zone to have an equivalent day. While Cortland Sutton, 4 out of the last 6 games, has scored a touchdown, could end up scoring on top of the fact that he could get himself the receptions, receiving yards. Cortland Sutton is a safer play with probably more upside as well. Thank you. All right. If we can get to, I think, 500 likes? Actually, I don't even need to get to 500 likes. If you guys could do me a favor, click the 500, get me to 500 likes, get us to 1,000 likes, all that kind of jazz. I do appreciate you guys joining us this morning. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you guys are. We've just transitioned the rankings on screen to have kicker and defensive rankings. I'm probably sure that many of you have asked for it. So there they are on screen, available. Top 12 kickers, top 12 defenses for this week. Do with it as you will. These are streamable options. Of course, a lot of these kickers and defenses are, ones that you have on roster and probably are not available. But for those that are available potentially, go ahead, seek them out on the waiver wire and play them accordingly. Do appreciate that. Let me continue on answering some of these questions. After Frank Hernandez, thank you very much again, Frank. I'll take Cortland there. We move on to double AC1. Says, I have Kyron Williams. Do I drop Roshan Johnson or Tyjae Spears for Freeman and or Henderson? So my suggestion would be to drop Roshan Johnson for Darrell Henderson. Darrell Henderson will be the starting running back of this offense after this week and until the return of Kyron Williams. So even though Royce Freeman is the preferred for this week, the expectation is that going forward, it will be Henderson. And by the time that Roshan Johnson returns from his concussion protocol next week, Deontay Foreman will have already carved out a role within this offense. And then, of course, 2 weeks after that, the return of Khalil Herbert coming off the injured reserve. So the expectation is that I'd rather have, Tyjae Spears. He gets more utilization within the offense. And there's a potential in which Derrick Henry could be traded. So drop Roshan Johnson, pick up Darrell Henderson. Thank you for the question. Appreciate it, double AC1. All right, moving on. We had a question from Enemies Within. Says Christian McCaffrey and Ayuk or Cooper and Christian McCaffrey with Ayuk pivot. Half PPR. Enemies, I think you're probably in a safe position to do Amari Cooper and Christian McCaffrey to have the pivoting option. I think that's the safest. I think that there's also the argument to, if you need the more upside, you just risk it for the biscuit, but I think you know what to do. I think the safer option is to have the pivot of Ayuk, even though if it's me, I'm playing Christian McCaffrey and Ayuk. Like if it's my team, I'm starting them both, and I'm just not even worried about it. If you don't have a pivoting option for Christian McCaffrey, it could end up killing your week. So I think probably the safer option would end up being, playing Amari Cooper. Do as the saying goes, do as I say, not as I do. So I would suggest you just do the safer option. While in many of my leagues, I would probably just roll with Christian McCaffrey and Ayuk there, and I just no regard for any risk. Brandon O'Leary, thank you very much for the super chat. Says, I need one wide receiver and two flex options. We have full PPR, Curtis Samuel, Cortland Sutton, Romeo Doubs, Dallas Goedert, Rashad White, James Cook, Darrell Henderson. Okay, so one wide receiver out of that group is going to be in a full PPR scoring format. Is it Romeo Doubs? Let me check. Full PPR wide receiver. Cortland Sutton is just slightly ahead of Romeo Doubs. They're number 29 and 30 overall. So Cortland Sutton would be that wide receiver. The flex option in my mind would be James Cook and Dallas Goedert. Sutton, Cook, Goddard. Thank you, Brandon O'Leary. Appreciate it. Colin Smith with a follow-up question says, full PPR, start two. Deontay Johnson, Jalen Warren, Elijah Moore. I would suggest playing Deontay and Warren. Thank you. Appreciate it. Moving on to Colin Smith once again. He says Wan'Dale Robinson or JSN in a full PPR. I'd go with Wan'Dale Robinson primarily because of Tyrod Taylor starting today. All right. Let's see here. Howard Bello says, I'm currently 1-5, 10-team league, PPR. My quarterback is Herbert. My running backs are Eckler, Etienne, Chase, Olave, Ridley, Hawkinson, Addison, Flowers, HN, Gibbs. Should I make any moves or just wait it out? Man, you've got to really... I mean, on paper, your team is ridiculous, right? But Chase hasn't been always consistent because of Joe Burrow. Eckler has been hurt. Ridley has been... I mean, when we talk about lack of consistent... Or he's been consistently bad. Let's put it that way. Herbert's had his bye week recently. Achan's been hurt. Listen, if I was managing that team, I would probably leave it. There's very little upgrades that you can make, and even if you do, I think your team is really solid as it stands. Like you could end up moving Achan and potentially trying to make a move there to bring in value for the next couple weeks until he returns in week 11, because there is a sizable gap between now and then to end up help you rack up a couple more wins here, potentially bring in another running back for the flex. But unless you're doing something of that nature, I'd keep it as such. Howard, thank you. Nolan Johnson says, pick 3 full PPR: Ramondre, Josh Palmer, Foreman, or Jeff Wilson. Yeah, Ramondre number 1, Josh Palmer number 2, Deontay Foreman number 3. Jeff Wilson sits on the bench. Thank you. Moving on to Raziel. I'm just gonna call you Raz. Raz says Javonte Williams or Mike Evans in a standard league. I'd probably just end up playing Mike Evans there, even in a standard format. I think the yardage and the potential of an upside touchdown is probably in the realm of possibility. Thank you, Raz. Terrence Templeton says, would you start, who should I stash? PPR Dynasty pick 2, Michael Mayer, Zach Charbonnet, Tank Dell. Who should you stash? I'd like to stash probably Tank Dell out of that group. Charbonnet doesn't look like he's getting much utilization this season, unless an injury takes place to Walker. Knock on wood, it doesn't happen. So in this scenario, yeah, I'd like to probably take Tank Dell out of that group. Thank you. Appreciate it. Wow. You know what's hilarious? Wow. How did you even know? Literally, the message that he sent says, who would you stash in a PPR dynasty? Mayer, Charbonnet, Tank. I stopped reading after that. And then it says, I'm 4-2, and I don't need you to start knocking on wood. What? How did you know? You've been around too long. You know that I do that stuff, huh? Wow. I didn't even read it. I swear I didn't even read it. Okay, now that's giving me, I'm getting chills now. How did you know I was going to even do that? All right, either way. Thank you, Terrence. I'd probably go with Tank Dell there as a stash. Pokemon says, Madison, Henderson, or Royce Freeman in the flex full PPR. I'd go with Madison there. Thank you. Let's see here. Fugazi Football says, Full PPR, Flowers or Amari Cooper. I'm pretty comfortable going with Flowers there. I think they're both fantastic plays, but I like Flowers. Thank you. Let's hear. Nicholas sends it a question. Says, I need help in a 12-team league, half PPR. So we have Hurts, we have Bijan Robinson, we have Breece Hall, we have Cooper, we have Kirk, we have Musgrave, we have London, we have Cleveland's defense, we have Moody. Garrett Wilson's on the bench, Khalil Herbert's on my bench, so is Dell and Hunt. I mean, you're in a pretty solid spot going forward, especially once Breece Hall returns. Amari Cooper will be of more value, obviously, with Deshaun Watson returning. London's been great as of late, but you'll also be able to swap him based on matchup with Garrett Wilson. I think you're in a pretty solid spot here. I mean, you have a top-tier quarterback. Your tight end probably needs a little bit of help, but I don't think you're going to be able to make any moves to improve that unless you're going off the waiver wire. Your running backs are guys that I probably wouldn't replace in our top 12 remainder of the season. Christian Kirk's look great, so I think you're in a pretty good spot here, especially for this week. Thank you, Nicholas. Murica in the chat was asking, what about Juwan Jennings if Debo is sitting? Yeah, Juwan Jennings does not play well in the absence of Debo Samuel. The only option that actually gets an improvement is George Kittle. George Kittle in the last 8 games he has played without Debo Samuel in the lineup is averaging 16.7 fantasy points per game in a half PPR. So that's the biggest, upside player. It's Ayuk and it's Kittle getting the utilization. When I went back to last season, games in which Jawan Johnson played without Debo Samuel in the lineup, he was getting like 1 or 2 catches a game. So very little utilization in the absence because, again, you can't really transition the usage of Debo Samuel to Juwan Jennings. They're different types of players. So it is difficult to kind of pivot from one to the other and assume that the value will transition. All right, let me see if Juan Munoz perhaps. No, nothing yet. Okay. We had a question that was sent in from Jorge Perez. Jorge Perez says, good morning, Andrew. Full PPR. I need 1 running back and 1 flex. I have Foreman. I have Jeff Wilson Jr. I could pick up Dylan, Murray, Hill, and any of the Rams running backs. Okay. So as of right now, the running back you probably play is Foreman. Moving on from that question, your wide receivers are A.J. Brown, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Terry McLaurin, or Addison in the flex. Yeah, as of right now, I'm very comfortable playing, obviously A.J. Brown, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua as your starting 3, and then playing McLaurin in the flex. As for your question of Browns defense or pick up the Raiders, I think the Browns defense is close enough in the rankings to where I'm comfortable holding the Browns because you can use them in future weeks as well. Thank you. The only reason the Raiders are such a great play this week is because, of course, they're taking on Tyson Bagent of he's not only is the second string quarterback of the Chicago Bears. Additionally, on top of it, he's a D2 quarterback. Doesn't really have much NFL experience. So yeah, that would be the suggestion there. Thank you. Michael Ortiz says, can we see your fantasy lineups? Yeah, there's a lot of them. There's literally 11 teams. So going through all those would take quite some time. But eventually, yes, eventually. Let's see here. Rogo says, I'm 2-4, half PPR. What do you have here? You have Mahomes, you have A.J. Brown, you have Devonta Smith, you have Aaron Jones, Deontay Foreman, you have Mark Andrews, Drake London, Jacoby Myers. My bench consists of Goddard, Palmer, Josh Reynolds, Jordan Mason, Chuba Hubbard. Okay. And Jamar Chase. Perfect or switch? I'm perfectly fine with this. I don't have any problems with it. Mahomes, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Aaron Jones, Deontay Foreman, Andrews, London, Myers. Yeah, I'm fine with that. No, I think that's it. I think you're good to go. Let me just check something real quick. I'm curious if I have in a half PPR Goddard ahead of Myers. So I have Goddard here. No, I have Myers still ahead of him. Okay, just wanted to make sure. Yeah, you're good to go there. Thank you, Rogo. Appreciate it. Alrighty, let's see here. Aaron Jones or Curtis Samuel, says Mike in the chat. I would probably just go with Aaron Jones there. I don't think it's that close. It could be, but I don't think it's that close. Okay, I'm catching up with some of these questions. We had Vowed on film. Thank you, Vowed. Greatly appreciate it. Very generous of you. Says Andrew, love what you do. What moves should I make? I'm 3-3-1. I'm 3-3 currently. 12-team league. Half PPR. Trevor Lawrence at quarterback. Jordan Love as well. Kyler Murray stashed. Ridley, Puka, Higgins, Garrett Wilson, Addison Pollard, Montgomery, Warren, Wilson, Mason, Kittle, Jonnu Smith, Brett Maher. So considering, I mean, look, Kittle doesn't move. I don't think T-Law moves. I'm not sure if you need Kenneth, sorry, I don't know if you need Kyler Murray, but I guess if you have the extra additional IR spot, I'm not really too worried about it. The moves that you probably want to make at some point to this season is we probably end up benching Ridley going forward here, Val. And until you get him in a good matchup to where he can have a great week, then you want to probably ship him immediately after and try to get another wide receiver. Because at this point, I think the inconsistency late in the season could kill you. And if it comes to fruition, I don't want that being the difference maker as to whether or not you lose the game when it matters the most, especially down in the playoffs. So for now, I don't think we're making any moves at running back. I think your two are solid. It's just a matter of readjusting that wide receiver positioning, potentially moving Ridley with another one of these guys to make an upgrade at wide receiver. Thank you. Appreciate it. Charles T says half PPR, Christian Watson or Javonte Williams. Let me see who I have higher. At this moment, let's see, Christian Watson's there. Javonte Williams there. Yeah, I have Christian Watson ahead of him. Thank you. Alrighty, we have a question that came in from, is that Dior Kev? Yeah, Dior Kev says, PPR, running back and flex. Sutton, Judy, Javonte Williams, Darrell Henderson. Of that group, the running back is Javonte Williams, and the flex is Jerry Judy. Sorry, no, it's Cortland Sutton. Apologies. Javonte Williams and Sutton. Thank you. Moving on, we had a question that came in from Stu. Stu says, Pickens or Foreman, full PPR. Yeah, if I'm playing one of the two, it's probably playing Pickens. Deontay Johnson's return opens up a little bit more coverage potential or ease of coverage on George Pickens, primarily because the last couple weeks here, there's always been safety help, unless you look at that Baltimore Ravens game. The only time that they didn't give safety help to Marlon Humphreys, here goes George Pickens down the sideline for 40 yards and a touchdown. If they want to show him up, with those kind of opportunities, of course he's going to ball out. I think Pickens in a full PPR probably can get himself 4 catches for 70 yards relatively easily on a base minimum kind of game. 4 catches for 60. Foreman's going to have to score a touchdown to be as competitive as him in a full PPR, considering he'll probably only catch 1 pass if he's lucky today. He'll need a touchdown to be able to eclipse Pickens in that regard. Thank you. Let's see here. All right. Moving on from that question, we go to Drew. Drew says, what do you think about the trade that I sent you on Discord? What do you mean? I thought I told you, I hope you're, as long as you got the Olave side, you're fine, man. Unless you have another trade. Let me check. Where you at, Drew? Yeah, you got the Olave side. You're fine then. I mean, anytime you're bringing in Olave and Bijan Robinson for Madison, Rashad White, and Calvin Ridley, bro. I mean, you ended up fleecing them. You got Bijan Robinson out of the deal. So, yeah, well done. I just wanted to confirm because I don't know what your team names is. So I was like, okay, hold up. Let's just make sure we got the right side there. Dan Carroll sends in a question, says flex, Javonte Williams, Elijah Moore, or Kareem Hunt. Let's go with Javonte Williams there. Thank you, Dan. Nathan Gutierrez. Let's see here. Nathan, where's your question? Here we go. Nathan Gutierrez says, Andrew, hope you're doing good. I am. Thank you. Appreciate it. I just fleeced the guy for Cup and Adams for Kelsey and Lockett. Yeah, you did that trade, huh? Congratulations. Who should I start? Cup, Adams, Kirk, Nakua, and Deontay. Well, Kirk has already played, right? Christian Kirk already played. So assuming he's not in your lineup, the next highest ranked would be Cup number 1, Devontae Adams number 2, Puka Nakua number 3, Deontay Johnson number 4, right? So that would be the play. Thank you. Appreciate it. And well done on the trade. I don't know how you ended up getting away with that one. Bruce Cowdrey says, full PPR, Marquise Hollywood Brown or Terry McLaurin? I like Terry McLaurin this week. Thank you. Let's see here. Andonian, thank you very much. What's up, man? Last flex spot, slot, either way, full PPR. Foreman, Madison, or Dobbs? In a full PPR, is it Madison or is it Dobbs? Let's check here. Full PPR. Where are we at? Dobbs. Where's Romeo Dobbs comparatively? I have Alexander Madison at 54, Romeo Dobbs at 56. It's kind of a coin toss. I'd probably lean towards... Am I confident? I'm confident in the idea that Alexander Madison will probably see himself a good workload of reception opportunity within the game, primarily because the running game will be shut down at times, considering the offensive line of the the Minnesota Vikings hasn't played well and is also dealing with a couple injuries. I think Ezra Cleveland, one of their starting guards, is going to be missing. So I'm comfortable still with the idea that Madison could probably catch the ball 5 times for a decent amount of yardage while also having goal line opportunity within the game, if in fact it comes to it. If you're worried about it, you just play Dobbs. Otherwise, yeah, I think Madison's a solid play. Thank you. All right, moving on. FLWZ sends in the following question. Says, start Jeff Wilson Jr. or Jaylen Warren for most upside. I don't know how much upside technically Jeff Wilson has unless he comes in and he's commanding 50% of all workload out of the backfield. And I don't know if that's going to be an immediate transition. I think Raheem Mostert has done enough to where we're probably in a situation. Yeah, we're probably in a situation here where Jeff Wilson in a matchup against the Philadelphia Eagles in a game in which they may not be blowing out the defense to where the second running back's utilized to a higher capacity. I think Jaylen Warren is the safer play. If you're looking for high upside, I guess you can go with Jeff Wilson, considering that team is more likely to score a touchdown. I just don't know if he's going to be the one, considering the totem pole goes Raheem Mostert, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and then maybe Jeff Wilson Jr. Otherwise, it's a Braxton Berrios or Durham Smythe kind of game. But yeah, if it's me, I'd probably just comfortably play Jaylen Warren there. Thank you. Sebastian Alex, hope you're doing well, Sebastian. Says, pick up Jonnu Smith / Musgrave, Jaleel McLaughlin, Keontae Ingram over Jerry Jeudy. For this week in specific, I would only ever play any of those options over Jerry Jeudy. I'd play Jonnu Smith over him in a full PPR. I don't love it, but I would do it. In a half PPR, I probably wouldn't take any of those other options over him, though. Thank you. Appreciate it. Even Musgrave. I'd probably even play Musgrave over him in a full PPR. I think both those guys could probably get just as many, if not more, receptions than him, and probably have touchdown upside as well down in the goal line. So, yeah, if it's me, I'd probably end up playing... Yeah, it's probably Musgrave over him at this point. Thank you. Daniel Cap Keenan says, good morning. I need a flex, full PPR. Foreman, Lockett, Addison, Deontay Johnson. Lockett out of the group is my suggestion. Follow up. You said that you liked Foreman. If DK doesn't play, I like Lockett. Yeah, even if DK plays, there may be a chance where DK Metcalf could get into a situation where, unfortunately, he could even re-aggravate the injury if it's that bad to where it's a game-time decision. But yeah, I like Lockett a lot, especially considering they're taking on Arizona. Arizona's two of their starting secondary members, Jalen Thompson, Antonio Hamilton, they're both out this week. Like, everything is leaning in the direction of the Seattle Seahawks putting up a huge number in the passing game against that defense. So I like Lockett a lot out of the group. Thank you. Regular veteran says, pick 2 for the flex, full PPR, Josh Reynolds, Justice Hill, Zach Evans, Keaton Mitchell, Craig Reynolds, or pick up Jonnu Smith, Royce Freeman, David Njoku, OBJ, or Jaden Reed. All right, so Josh Reynolds, I like a lot. The next best option in a full PPR out of the group that you mentioned off of waivers that you could pick up would probably be Jonnu Smith or David Njoku. I like Jonnu Smith specifically because I think he'll get a pretty decent volume of receptions in comparison to the rest of the group. Royce Freeman probably won't get much, receiving utilization. David Njoku still in a transitioning, coming back from his injury. And of course, the offense may not need him to be as useful this week, considering, again, it probably is going to be a blowout. I don't trust Jaden Reed. I don't trust OBJ. I'd probably end up picking up Jonnu Smith and playing him alongside of Josh Reynolds there. Thank you. CJ says, left a comment in the chat. Also have McLaurin waiver. How do you have McLaurin waiver? What does that mean? You have McLaurin on the waivers? Hold up. Where's your question again? Let me go. I gotta go find it in the chat, huh? You guys are making me do a lot of dirty work here, going finding questions. All right. CJ says full PPR: Goff, Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs, London, Olave, Goddard, Watson, McManus, Raiders defense. Okay. My bench consists of Dylan, Kyron Williams, Lamb, Kirk, Mayer. Lions defense. Any moves or let it ride? Thank you. Is that the only question you asked, CJ? How does my team look rest of the season? I mean, Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs, assuming they stay healthy, you're fine. Olave is great alongside of Watson. London as a number 3. You have Lamb as well. You have Kirk. You have Kyron Williams. I mean, at this point, you just need your team to be healthy. That's really it. Otherwise, you've got 3 solid running backs, 4 solid wide receivers. Goddard's a solid tight end option. Goff's solid quarterback option. If you're making any moves out of this team, it's potential, depending on your record, of course. If you can wait until the return of Kyren Williams, then you wait. Otherwise, you potentially go and I would probably suggest going and picking up Darrell Henderson in the coming weeks, potentially dropping that second defense that you have on roster. Thank you, CJ. Appreciate it. All right, after CJ's question, we had a question that came in from Joe J. Joe J says, half PPR, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex, Deontay Johnson, Dobbs, Sutton, Warren. I would play Sutton alongside of Romeo Dobbs. Thank you. Moving on to Johnny Ma. Johnny, hope you're doing well. Long time no see. Says Jaleel McLaughlin, Palmer, Deontay, Warren, flex, standard league. I'll take Josh Palmer out of the group. Thank you. Moving on, we had a question from Juan Munoz. There we go. Juan's back. Says Addison or Gabe Davis full PPR? Ooh, good question. Let's see who I have ranked highest. We have, of the following 2 that are named, Addison, and then we have Gabe Davis ahead of him. Yeah, I'll take Gabe Davis this week, full PPR. Thank you. Moving on to Nate V. Says full PPR, Michael Pittman Jr. or Jonathan Taylor? I have Michael Pittman Jr. ranked higher in a full PPR. I don't love it. I don't love the matchup at all in any sort of capacity. I mean, against Cleveland, it's not going to be an easy game. It's not. We all know it's not going to be. It's probably going to be a game in which the Indianapolis Colts get beat down, but in a negative game script for the entirety of the game, we're probably going to see a lot of receptions from both Michael Pittman and Jonathan Taylor. If I had to suggest one of the 2, I think that there's a higher likelihood that Michael Pittman Jr. is able to gather a higher yardage count and probably just as many receptions. Thank you. All right, moving on to who is the next question on hand. We had Nate V. Okay, making sure I didn't skip anybody. We didn't. We're good to go. All right, good boxing, bad boxing. Says full PPR, Javonte Williams or Sam Laporta? Oof. Good question. Full PPR, where's Laporta? So I have Laporta ranked. This is a full PPR. That's my wide receiver rankings. I need flex. Okay, so I have Laporta there. And then what's the other player? I think you said Javonte Williams. Yeah. Javonte Williams, I think I have him ranked lower, legitimately. Where is he? Control F, Javonte. Yeah, I have Sam Laporta. Wait, where is he? Dude, why is he? Did I spell it wrong? I guess I didn't even paste him in here. Wow. So where's Jonathan Taylor on this list? Yeah, that's what it is. I pasted Jonathan Taylor twice. No wonder. Javonte Williams goes right after Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, I have Sam Laporta ahead of him. Thank you. Moving on, we had a question that came in from... Actually, before we get to those questions, a reminder, for those of you who are joining us this morning, welcome. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Week 7's an absolute shambles situation. If you guys are wondering as to whether I would play one player over the other in a half PPR scoring format, perhaps, in terms of positional rankings, those are on screen to the right side of the screen. If you guys are interested in them, of course, check them out. We have my top 36 running backs, top 36 wide receivers, top 16 quarterbacks, and tight ends on screen ranked. Additionally, for those of you who are looking for potentially kicker and defensive rankings for this week, we have my top 12 kickers as such and top 12 defenses as such. Of course, take a look at it. Be sure to go ahead, pick up the best potential kicker and or defenses that you need for this week. Again, we're trying to capture victories in week 7 to the best of our ability. I'll continue to answer questions to the best of my ability for the next, let's see here. We'll be here for the next hour and 40 minutes answering nonstop questions for fantasy purposes. Man, we've already been here for an hour and 20. I don't even believe it. That was fast. Either way, do appreciate you guys coming through. If you haven't yet already, do me a solid. Click the like button down below. It certainly helps continue to support the channel every single day. Greatly appreciate you guys supporting in that regard and continues to build the algorithm so I can continue to bring you guys daily fantasy football content. And of course, these live streams every single Sunday morning. Thank you. All right, let's go ahead. Let's see here. We had a question that came in from, where art thou question? After good boxing, bad boxing, we had Soar High Fitness says Goff or Smith at quarterback, Smith or Cook in the flex. Yeah, if this is a super flex format, Soar, if this is a super flex, right? and the Smith that you're referring to is not Devonta Smith in the flex, and it's Geno Smith as well, I played Goff at quarterback, and then I played Geno Smith in the flex or the super flex. Now, if it's not a super flex and it's Devonta Smith or James Cook, I'll take Devonta Smith and I'll take Goff. Thank you. Let's see here. Crypt Keeper, Sebs. Super flex, PPR, 40 yards bonus, 40-yard bonus, Russell Wilson or Christian Watson. I'm always going to lean towards the quarterback there. So I'll take Russell Wilson over Christian Watson this week. Thank you. National Champ Rush says, who has more upside today, Darrell Henderson or Gus Edwards? Who has more upside today? I don't know if I could comfortably say that Gus Edwards has any upside today. So I'd go with Darrell Henderson there, to be totally honest. I think Gus Edwards, unfortunately, in a situation taking on the best run stop defense in the National Football League in terms of stopping opposing running back rushing statistics. I'm pretty comfortable going with Darrell Henderson in comparison. I think Gus Edwards could get himself 5 fantasy points, but unless he scores a touchdown, I don't know if he can get more than that. And even 5 fantasy points might be too much. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see here. Felt Melts in the chat was saying, why do you prefer Henderson over Zach Evans? Zach Evans was never a guy that, honestly, he was never a guy in the first place, right? The only reason we assumed that Zach Evans would be the guy is because if Kyren Williams is going to be out and Ronnie Rivers is going to be out, the only other running back on the starting roster was Zach Evans. But the reason why they went ahead and they elevated Royce Freeman off the practice squad and they went ahead and signed Darrell Henderson and Myles Gaskin in the last week primarily has to do with the fact that this offense doesn't trust the inexperience of the rookie 6th-round pick, Zach Evans. So from what we've seen, from what we've heard from the beat writers of the LA Rams, the assumption is that Darrell Henderson is going to be the third down pass blocking receiving back of the offense, while Royce Freeman will probably take the early down duties for this week. And then Darrell Henderson for the remainder of the time until Kyren Williams returns will be the primary guy because of this comfortability within this offense and the fact that they trust him more. Again, you wouldn't sign him off the couch and start him within the week unless they knew what they were doing. And again, this season, the only time Zach Evans has ever played consistently is on special teams. Outside of that, he's never really been utilized in this backfield. He's a special teams guy. He's not going to be a starting running back. Thank you. We would have loved for him to be a starting running back, but obviously that did not come to fruition based on the activity off of the signings that we've seen from the Rams in the last 7 days. All right, we had a question from Tom. Tom says, Pittman, Addison, Jacoby Myers, full PPR pick 2. Let's go check my full PPR rankings. Addison, Pittman, or Myers. Where are we with these? So we have Myers and Pittman ahead of Addison. Thank you. Appreciate the question. Moving on, we had a question from Alan. Alan says, flex PPR, Rice, Foreman, or Musgrave? I'll go with Rice there. Thank you. Appreciate it, Alan. All right, after Alan's question, we had Nick Johnson. Nick Johnson says, do I make any upgrades to my team? Posted in the chat. All right, Nick, let's see here. Control F. Nick Johnson. 12 team. I have Wilson. I have Christian McCaffrey. I have Walker. I have Waddle. I have Puka Nacua. I have Hawkinson. I have Kamara. Wow. Jags defense, Moody. Bench is Olave, Sutton, JT, Mitchell, Stroud, Mason. Do I make any moves or write it out? I mean, at this point, if you're making any moves for this week, no. As for future weeks, I mean, Waddle, Puka Nacua, you have Jonathan Taylor, you have Olave, you have Hawkinson, you have Kamara. I mean, I guess technically I'm not making moves. I mean, I guess technically considering you have 4 stud running backs, you could end up trading one to try to get an upgrade at wide receiver to get more of an established wide receiver 1. Maybe go after Devontae Adams of something of that extent. But outside of that, no. You have a really solid team there, Nick. Thank you. Let's see here. We had a question that rolled in from Justin. Justin says, I'm in a pickle. Who do I start? Henderson, Gainwell, or Reynolds? I'd play Henderson. It would go Henderson, Reynolds, and then Gainwell in that order. Assuming Reynolds is Craig Reynolds and not Josh Reynolds. I prefer Josh Reynolds over the bunch. Thank you. Appreciate it. So Henderson, Reynolds, Gainwell. Chris sends in a question, says, full PPR, David Njoku or Cole Kmet? Again, I don't know if I can trust Tyson Bagent, the second string quarterback of the Chicago Bears, especially when you consider last week when he came into the game, he did not target Cole Kmet a single time. I do have Cole Kmet ranked because my assumption is that, I mean, the guy plays 80 to 90% of the snaps every single game. He's going to run majority of the routes. He'll be on the field and he'll probably see himself a better target share than he did last week with Patient. But I think David Njoku in an advantageous matchup against Indianapolis, who has not been able to stop the pass all season long, with Deshaun Watson returning, is in a better position to succeed in a full PPR. Thank you. All right, let's see here. We had a question from Sean Bonds. Thank you, Sean. It says, I have Brees Hall, Pacheco, Stevenson, Roshan. I hold Kyron Williams or trade him. Was offered Spears and Lockett. No, I would probably keep. I don't want Spears and Lockett in that scenario. Start Deontay Johnson, Sutton, or Justice Hill in the flex standard league. Out of those three options, I'd play Sutton. But yeah, I would end up holding on to Kyron Williams for now. Thank you. Let's hear. Lucky Slevin says, full PPR. I need a running back. I have Dillon on my bench. All three Rams running backs are available with Wilson and Ingram. Okay, very well. And in the follow-up, should I pick up Royce Freeman, Darrell Henderson, or run Dillon? I mean, at this point, okay, so here's my only suggestion with this question. If you're in a position to where, no, I mean, I would just play A.J. Dillon. I wouldn't even worry about it. Just play A.J. Dillon. Because if you went and you have to make a pickup for Royce Freeman, who's already lower ranked, he's not going to be higher ranked than A.J. Dillon in a full PPR because they're both probably not going to get themselves much receiving utilization. I don't think I'm making a move there. I'd probably just keep what you have and keep it rolling. Along with Wilson and Ingram. I mean, Ingram I understand, but Jeff Wilson Jr. I don't really need either way. So yeah, I'd probably just roll with A.J. Dillon for now against, the most advantageous matchup of the running back position this week. Thank you. All right, moving on. We had a question that came in from after Lucky Slevin. It was Paul. Paul, thank you very much. Says, hey, Andrew. Do you think I should leave Aaron Jones in my flex for the 425 game and start Wan'Dale Robinson or Kendrick Bourne at... Yeah, look, at this point in a full PPR, I can understand and justify playing Wan'Dale Robinson there, but I think Aaron Jones has so much upside. Like, if Wan'Dale Robinson finishes the game with 6 catches for 36 yards, we're not going to be surprised he scores 10 points. Okay, so be it. But Aaron Jones, if he's at a full capacity, could very easily come away with 12 rushing attempts for 89 yards and like 2 rushing touchdowns. Like, that's the kind of player that we know Aaron Jones is, especially against Denver's run-stop defense that has been non-existent over the course of this entire season, whether it's with or without the opposing team being the Miami Dolphins. Okay, what do we have here? So we have a couple reports as of the last couple minutes here, the last 13 minutes. We had a report. I'm going to go ahead and transition the screen to show kicker and defensive rankings for those of you who are interested. So we had a report from 13 minutes ago, according to Adam Schefter. It says that Christian McCaffrey is likely to play, like we expected. That's why we have him ranked as such on screen. Giants are not expected to trade Saquon Barkley. Okay, we don't care about that. Deshaun Watson is in fact active today. Yeah, we already knew that. Okay. Never mind. Nothing crazy. Just a Christian McCaffrey kind of confirmation for those of you who were worried. So whoever was asking me earlier, forgive me for forgetting the name, but whoever was asking me earlier, Christian McCaffrey, Ayuk, or just play Amari Cooper today, that's why I'm willing to play Christian McCaffrey, because I don't really see much of a risk because I expect him to play as well. Okay, so for right now, Paul, I would just suggest playing Aaron Jones. Let's see here. Redify says, half PPR, Laporta or Mike Evans? I'd play Mike Evans there. Thank you, Redify. Appreciate it. Moving on to David A. Says, morning. Why do you have Michael Mayer over in... What? Why do you have Mayer over in Njoku? Do I? I don't have him over in Njoku. What are we talking about? David Njoku's at number 10, and Michael Mayer's at number 15. So, I don't. So, I don't know what you're referring to. But, yeah, okay, thanks, man. Thanks, David. Is Deshaun Watson playing? Yes, he's already playing, or he's active today. That's for sure. And so is Kareem Hunt. So I leave them both in my rankings as such. All right, so we've caught up on a couple of the overall questions. There's a couple more that I need to address. Let me go ahead and let me find them really quickly. So after Redify, we have Brenton 7 says half PPR, pick 3, Watson, Godwin, Lockett, Kittle. In a half PPR, I would play Lockett, I would play Kittle, and I would play Christian Watson. I'm benching Godwin there. Thank you. As for ER's question, ER says pick 2 PPR, Deontay Johnson, Rashee Rice, JSN without DK. Okay, so between those three options, obviously it would be Deontay Johnson and Rashee Rice under the assumption that DK Metcalf plays, which again, that's my assumption, and it's probably likely to happen. So considering you're in a position to where you do have Deontay, Rice, and JSN, and all of them play in the afternoon slate. So at 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Considering you're in that position, my suggestion would be to play Deontay Johnson and Rashee Rice. If in fact DK Metcalf warms up prior to the game and is not active, you would play JSN instead of Deontay Johnson this week, and you'd play Rice and JSN. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, moving on. We had a question that came in. Oh, yeah, and then your follow-up question, ER, is Judy or Sutton rest of the season? I'm going to venture to say let's just put Sutton there as the preferred, because I'm assuming Judy's going to get traded in the coming days. So we'll just leave it at that for now. And I don't know where he's going to be traded to. The guy could be traded to Miami for all we know. We don't know what's going to happen. You know, like there's still a lot to be determined here. He could be traded to a plethora of different teams that are in need of his services. I mean, his services haven't been great as a part of the Denver Broncos this season, but within the right offense, within, you know, the overall best scheme, he could be a decent player. But for right now, let's just stick with Sutton, considering I don't know if Judy's going to be moved or where he'll end up. Thank you. Alrighty, let's see here. So after ER's question, we caught up. Boom, bang, bop. Perfect. Okay. So I'm going to start rapid fire answering questions in the chat. If anybody needs the defensive rankings to be shown, just let me know in the chat and I'll transition to it. Otherwise, we're good to go. Appreciate it, guys. Also, for those of you who are joining us this morning, welcome. Hope you guys are doing well. Do me a favor and click the like button down below. Certainly helps the channel out a bunch. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Jeff Wilson is criminally undervalued on your board. That's fine. I mean, again, my opinion, your opinion, they're going to differ. It's always going to differ. So I'm just telling you guys how I would rank it and how I would start them in order. That's it. But yeah, if you don't, I mean, again, we don't have to agree. That's the beauty of fantasy football. KJ Osborne or Jameson Williams? I would probably end up playing Jameson Williams in a half PPR and then probably KJ Osborne in a full PPR. Also, Jameson Williams in a standard. Thank you. How do you feel about the Packers defense this week? I don't have them ranked within my top 12, but I do have them ranked in my top 15. They're my number 15 ranked defense. So they're in the middle of the pack, which again, I'm not too confident about the situation. Let's see here. What else do we have? Hunter Henry is active today. All right, good. Let's see. Juju Smith inactive due to a concussion. We already knew that was going to happen. Okay, nothing. Okay, cool. Moving on. Let's see here. Moving on. Defensive rankings, please. Okay, yeah, I got you. Here it is. Boom. All right, let's see here. Is Ezekiel Elliott a good waiver pickup? My starting running backs are Christian McCaffrey and Kyren Williams. Yeah, you should probably, I mean, if you need a replacement for Kyren Williams, it would be probably Royce Freeman this week and or Darrell Henderson. But I guess you could pick up, Zeke if those guys aren't available. Kevin. The boss in the chat was asking, should I still play Jacoby Myers over Romeo Doubs with Garoppolo out? I think I'm comfortable with it. If you want to go ahead and play Romeo Doubs, you're perfectly fine to do so. I thought about it this week and I was like, do I want to be so afraid of Jacoby Myers to the extent to where I'm not playing him? Or do I want to assume that the entire scheme of the Raiders offense is to get Myers open and that's why he sees such a high target opportunity? I'm going to lean with the latter. Thank you. Mahomes or Tua as quarterback today? Both. I mean, look, honestly, they're both great plays. Flip a coin. I think Mahomes' consistency throughout his entire career against the Los Angeles Chargers leans me in his direction, primarily because in the last 5 games he's played against them, he's averaging 24 fantasy points per game. So I'm very comfortable playing Mahomes there against that defense, considering obviously he's so familiar with them and it's one of the better matchups at the position. So I'm comfortable with it. Like if I go back to last season, Mahomes against this defense, 17.3, 27.46. Let's go to 2021. Let's see how much damage he did against them. 22.9, 29.6. Like he has those upside games while also being a consistent floor of production in given weeks. So I'm pretty comfortable with him against the Los Angeles Chargers. Mayfield over Cousins this week? Yes. A true earthling? Yes. I would play him over Kirk Cousins. I don't trust Kirk Cousins. Monday Night Football, primetime television against the San Francisco 49ers does not seem like a lot of fun there. It could be fun. I mean, who knows? Maybe it ends up being a great matchup for him, but I would venture towards it probably being risky. Why Royce Freeman over Darrell Henderson? Primarily because Royce Freeman's in game shape. He's been the practice squad running back over the course of this entire season. Darrell Henderson's coming off the couch. And from what we heard from specifically what I read from the beat reporter on Friday's practice, the running back that was leading the running back drills was Royce Freeman. So the expectation is that he'll be the early down back and kind of the bowling ball of the offense that's going to plunge it. While Darrell Henderson probably more equipped in terms of understanding the jargons of the offense, in terms of audibles, in terms of different protection packages within the offense. He'll probably be utilized a lot on third down, pass blocking, receiving kind of workload. So that's why I generally have Royce Freeman ahead of Henderson, because I expect the team to probably run the ball far more with their running backs than to pass to them in the given week. Todd Oval, thank you very much. Greatly appreciated, Todd. It says full PPR, Pittman, Madison, or McLaughlin. Out of the three, I'd probably go with Michael Pittman Jr. there. Thank you. Let's see here. We had a question from Brandon, says Goddard or JT. I'd probably roll with JT there. Rashad White or Henderson, full PPR. Renee, I would go with Rashad White there. Again, guys, rankings on screen are updated as of this morning from yours truly. So again, if you're interested in wondering who I would play over who, the rankings on screen should kind of give you guys an indication of that. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much. We had another question that was sent in from Jan Palomo. Thank you very much, Jan. It says full PPR, sit one, Pacheco, Brian Robinson, Christian Watson. Oh man, this is a tough one. I think I honestly have Pacheco ranked higher in a full PPR, considering Pacheco's workload as of late. Yeah, I have Pacheco at 9. I have Brian Robinson at 11 in a full PPR. So I'd go with Pacheco there. Thank you. Yes, I would also play him over Watson. Okay, we're good to go there. Moving on. We had a question in the chat from Cubes. He said PPR sit 1, Laporta, Goddard, Deontay Johnson. Out of the 3, I'd probably end up sitting Deontay Johnson and playing the 2 tight ends there. Henderson, Freeman, or Ingram. I'd play Freeman out of the 3 there. K. Young. Javonte Williams or Zach Moss, PPR. I'd go with Javonte there. Alfredo, what's up, man? Says drop Foreman, Curtis Samuel, or KJ for Freeman. If you're in need of a running back, I guess you could end up dropping KJ, but I mean, you have Foreman, so you don't technically have to play Freeman in his stead. I mean, they're very similar, so in terms of ranking. But yeah, if you're gonna drop one, it would probably be KJ Osborne there. Thank you. Let's see here. What do we have? Okay, we're good to go there. Just making sure, nothing crazy. Okay, moving on. We had a question in the chat from Matt. Says AJ Dillon or Elijah Moore. I'd probably just play AJ Dillon there. If it's a full PPR, I could understand playing Elijah Moore though. Let's see here. Awakened Panda says, can you justify playing Wan'Dale Robinson over Michael Pittman Jr.? Yeah, I can justify it. What I end up doing it, I think it's just risky. I think you and I both know the inherent risk there, right? So we can justify it for sure, especially considering the target opportunity. Okay, just to kind of give you guys a little bit of an understanding. Last week, the New York Giants, they changed their entire offense. Jalen Hyatt and Wan'Dale Robinson, the 2 receiving options that are, the youngest on that team, played majority of the offensive snaps within that receiving core. There was no more Paris Campbell and no more Isaiah Hodgins within the offense. So Wan'Dale Robinson, Jalen Hyatt going forward could be a value. Do not be surprised if Jalen Hyatt catches a 70-yard touchdown today. Just throwing it out there. It's a bold prediction, but one that I'm willing to make. So don't be surprised if something of that comes to fruition. Primarily because the Washington Commanders secondary has been terrible in terms of stopping wide receivers on the outside all season long. As for wide receivers in the slot position, they've fared relatively better in comparison. So Wan'Dale Robinson could end up being a justifiable option, but I don't love it in that scenario. All right, moving on from that, we had Damian Velasquez in the chat. Thank you very much for sending the super chat in my direction. Damian says, Jalen Warren, Jamison Williams, or Elijah Moore in the flex. In a half PPR, I think the safest option of the three, even in a full PPR, I think the safest option of the three is playing Jalen Warren. If we're looking for the potential less floor but higher upside, it's Jamison Williams. Thank you. iShine101, hope you're doing well, iShine. Says, hey, Drew, Kareem Hunt or Dotson this week? Half PPR. If it's Kareem Hunt or Jahan Dotson, I'd rather play Kareem Hunt. Thank you. Damon Smith, thank you very much, sir. I greatly appreciate it. I hope you're doing well. Long time no see. Says, full PPR, Josh Downs or Jamison Williams? In a full PPR scoring format, I feel like Josh Downs has to be played, right? Especially in the game script where Gardner Minshew's just trying to move this offense as much as he possibly can, throwing the ball for majority of the second half. I feel like Josh Downs is probably the safer play in a full PPR. I do acknowledge the idea that Jamison Williams could get himself more utilization in the absence of Marvin Jones Jr. This week, especially in a matchup where this is what I'll say, Mr. Smith. If in fact we're in a situation where Marlon Humphreys is not active today, I'll play Jamison Williams. Otherwise, let's go Josh Downs. Let me go ahead and let me venture the internet and see if Marlon Humphreys is potentially going to miss. I don't think he will, but I'm just putting it out there. Marlon Humphrey, are you going to play today? Marlon Humphrey is active. Okay, so yeah, let's play Josh Downs there. I think that's safe. Thank you. Appreciate it. Vance Hicken says, JSN or Elijah Moore in a full PPR, not knowing about DK Metcalf. If I don't know about DK Metcalf, I would still play JSN there. Thank you. Appreciate it. Moving on. We had a question from Walker. Where's Walker's question? Yeah, where is Walker's question? Where did it go? There you go. Found it. Okay. Walker says, good morning, Andrew. Good morning to you as well. Good morning to all of you. For those of you joining us today, thank you. I do appreciate you guys supporting the channel, clicking the like button, answering questions, answering each other's questions in the live chat. It's greatly appreciated. Again, if you guys need questions answered, hopefully the rankings on screen help. If you need me to post the defensive rankings and transition to graphic, please let me know. Walker5530 says, good morning, Andrew. Godwin or Addison? I'll take Godwin this week. Addison seems like the upside play. I honestly, as much as he seems like the upside play, I actually think Godwin has just as good potential for upside. Like, I understand that Addison scored as, many touchdowns as he has. If it wasn't for the fact that, unfortunately, Baker Mayfield got hit on the throw that he made last week, Chris Godwin comes down with a touchdown. Like, he sees himself a good volume of end zone, red zone opportunities here and there. Yeah, I think that Godwin has a safer floor, has a higher target overall target share within the offense. And if, in fact, there's any struggles with Evans on the outside against A.J. Terrell, Godwin is an even better play within the given week. So I trust it. Again, they're relatively close in my ranking, with just 2 spots, separates them. So I'm okay with either of the two. If you want to play Addison over Godwin, that has no, I have no problem with that. My overall system in which I base my projections off of for these prospects has them relatively close. It's probably less than like half a point in comparison to the two of them. So I don't mind either of the two, Walker, but I do prefer Godwin. Thank you. Reaper Seeker says, PPR, Zay Flowers or Jahmyr Gibbs? I'd probably play Zay Flowers this week. I think I have him ranked higher in a full PPR. Let me confirm this. Zay Flowers is, where is he? Zay Flowers there, and Jahmyr Gibbs. Where is he? Where's Jahmyr Gibbs? Okay, yeah. Zay Flowers 23, Jahmyr Gibbs 27. So Zay Flowers is my suggestion out of the two in a full PPR. If it was a half PPR, obviously be Gibbs. Brian M says full PPR. Thank you, Brian. Says Pittman or London? Ooh, good question. In a full PPR against Tampa Bay, I think I probably end up playing Drake London there. Yeah, I'd probably go Drake London. Thank you. Cleveland defense makes me lean towards Drake. Yeah, as well. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. Where are we at? Suki, thank you very much. Says, trade Christian McCaffrey and Michael Pittman Jr. for Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm comfortable making that move. Thank you. Appreciate it. iShine101 says half PPR, Sutton or Stevenson. I'll take Stevenson there. Thank you. What do we have here? Elijah Moore or Watson. Sorry, Elijah Moore with Watson active or Kendrick Bourne. Again, the rankings that I have on screen already in regards to the positional rankings already assumes that Deshaun Watson was going to be active. As you guys can see from the quarterback rankings, like right here, I have Deshaun Watson over there at number 11. So I already assumed that he was going to be active today. So I already took into account Elijah Moore's ranking in comparison. So, yeah, keep that in mind. Thank you. After iShine 101's question, we had another question here from Infinity and Bijan. Said, would you take JT and Sutton for Sun God? Would I take JT and Sutton for Sun God? It depends on the scoring format. It depends on what kind of running back depth you have on team. I'm playing Wan'Dale Robinson over DK. All right, E-Rocco. Good luck, man. 07. Gabriel Trejo says, can I trust KJ Osborne over Michael Pittman? I don't trust him this week. I don't know if we can even trust KJ Osborne, to be honest. At this point, I guess it's just like a risk versus reward kind of thing. Like, if KJ Osborne gets himself 5 catches for 50 yards and a touchdown, great. If he doesn't, he only has 5 catches for 50. Is Michael Pittman Jr. going to do anything less than that? Like, that's kind of my thought process. It's just a matter of who has potentially more upside. I'd probably lean in the direction of, yeah, I would prefer to play Pittman there. But if you want to play KJ Osborne, by all means, go for it. Let's see here. Ferda in the chat was saying Jaleel McLaughlin or Jeff Wilson Jr. as my RB2 this week. Again, rankings on screen as of this current moment in time. And for the remainder of this stream, I have Jaleel McLaughlin slightly ahead of him, but nonetheless ahead of him. All right, moving on. Vowed on Film says, thanks for the previous answer. I was offered Ramondre Stevenson and Christian Kirk for Puka Nacua and Higgins. Should I accept it? I have to look at the rest of your team again. Let me see if I can scroll up real quick. Vowed. So you have Ridley, Puka Nacua, Higgins, Garrett Wilson, Pollard, Montgomery, and they're offering you Kirk and Ramondre for Puka and Higgins. I would feel like Kirk and Puka have very similar value rest of the season. If you're playing in a half PPR, I could justify the depth of having the additional running back of Ramondre, considering your running back depth outside of, Montgomery, Pollard drops off majorly. I could justify the trade. I think it's more of a lateral trade than an upgrade. I think it's just more of a, hey, I'm moving on from these wide receivers and just getting running back depth. The issue that I have with the trade primarily has to do with the fact that you would have Ridley and Kirk on the same team, which I don't like. That's my only reservation regarding it. Thank you. All right, we had a question from Colin Smith. Says 4-point per passing touchdown league. Stafford or Geno Smith? Again, the rankings on screen are for a 4-point per passing touchdown league. I have Geno Smith ahead of Stafford, number 9 to number 12, as you can see over there. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. All right, let's see here. Where are we at? We had a question that came in from Cody Holm. Cody, thank you very much. Says Logan Thomas or David Njoku. Looks like Watson might play. No, he will play. I already have to play McLaurin due to him doing the bye week. Yeah, listen, I like Njoku. I think him and Logan Thomas are very similar touchdown upside players. I think they'll probably see very similar target share. Additionally, on top of that, the fact that you said you already have to play McLaurin as if it's a bad thing. McLaurin's going to be great today, Cody. So be more confident with that play. And also, Logan Thomas, between him and Njoku, I'll take Njoku. Thank you. All right. Where are we at here? Let me scroll down. We had a question from the Lake Show. Lake Show, thank you very much. Lake Show 1993 says, update on Rams backfield. Yeah, as of today, the expectation is that Royce Freeman will be number 1, Darrell Henderson number 2, Zach Evans number 3, and most likely number 4, Myles Gaskin is not going to be active. So it'll be that rotation and in that order. Royce Freeman probably getting first and second down work, Darrell Henderson getting majority of the third down work, and then depending on who has the hot hand in the game, it'll persist as such. But the expectation is that Royce Freeman number 1, Darrell Henderson 2, Zach Evans number 3, and they're ranked as such. Where do I have Freeman? So I have Royce Freeman at 25, Darrell Henderson at 30, and Zach Evans outside of the top 40 running backs as of this moment. Primarily because he's a special teams player rather than a guy that we can trust at the starting running back position for the week. Thank you. All right, moving on to Cody. Cody says, good morning. Zach Moss, KJ Osborne in the flex. I'll take Zach Moss there. Thank you. If it's a full PPR, I could consider playing KJ Osborne, but assuming it's a half PPR, considering you didn't mention the format, I'd go with Zach Moss. All right, let's see here. We had a question that came in from okay, so after Cody, we have Vlad, thank you very much. It says Elijah Moore, Wan'Dale Robinson, Josh Downs, Jameson Williams, Kendrick Bourne, play one. Out of the bunch, I would play Wan'Dale Robinson. Thank you. Kevin Guevara says, start 2, Kendrick Bourne, Curtis Samuel, Josh Palmer. I'll take Palmer and I'll take Samuel. Thank you. Let's see here. Markel Adams says, stack Love / Musgrave in a 2 QB league full PPR. I mean, what's your alternative, right? I mean, if you don't tell me what the alternative is, I'm just gonna say, yeah, let's do it. I mean, I don't know what else the alternative is, right? Let's see here. We had a question from Philippos. Where's Philippos's question? All right, Philippos says, where should JSN be in your rankings if DK is out? Okay, yeah, so I mentioned this earlier. If DK Metcalf is out this afternoon, Tyler Lockett goes from number 19 to number 13. And then subsequently after, JSN would go ahead of DJ Moore. He would be number 22, and DJ Moore would be shoved down to 23, and everybody else would be shoved down equivalently. So JSN would be, yeah. So, well, actually, technically, yeah, let's just put it at that. He would be moved right in front of DJ Moore. I don't know if that would technically make him 22, because technically Tyler Lockett would go to 13 and everybody shoved up one, so he'd be 21. But either way, he would be ahead of DJ Moore. Thank you, Philippos. Is that your only question? Let me just make sure. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Alrighty, we had a question from iShine101. Says 10-team full PPR, Godwin or Richardson? Thank you. Alrighty. I'm confused. Who the heck is Richardson? Am I crazy, guys? Who's Richardson? iShine, you maybe is there a typo here? So yeah, we're gonna play Godwin there. Thanks, man. Skin sends in a question, says Ford or Zay Flowers, full PPR. I'll take Flowers there. Thanks. Let's see here. Cody Holmes says McLaurin isn't a bad option, but had to play him in place of Thielen. Yes, okay. In place of Thielen, understood. But otherwise, McLaurin against the Giants throughout his entire career has never had a game of less than 10 fantasy points. So I think he's going to be perfectly fine today. He usually balls out in the matchup and is pretty comfortable against that secondary. Okay, let's see here. Robbie P says, would Justice Hill or Latavius Murray rest of the season be better? I'd probably say oh man. I don't like either of them, but it's probably Justice Hill, honestly. Sutton or JSN if DK plays? If DK plays, we play Sutton, as it is, demonstrated on screen. Again, for any of you who are looking for defense or kicker rankings, I'm going to go ahead and transition the rankings on screen right now. As you guys can see right here on the bottom, kicker and defense rankings, use them to your best ability. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Moving on, we had a question from Mr. Dang, or is it Mr. Dang? Yeah, Mr. Dang says, full PPR, trade Zach Moss for Jahmyr Gibbs. Yes, I don't mind that. That's fine by me. I have Kamara, Henry, and Montgomery. Yeah, I think that's a great idea to go ahead and handcuff your Montgomery there. Which 3 wide receivers would you play as well? Cooper Kupp. Sorry, that's not Cooper Kupp. That's Amari Cooper, Devontae Adams, Marquise Hollywood Brown, Michael Pittman Jr., or Mike Evans. Okay, so out of the receiving options that you have, so first and foremost, yes, let's make the trade. Let's get Gibbs. Follow-up question. As to who I'm starting at wide receiver, Adams number 1, Evans number 2, Amari Cooper number 3, Marquise Hollywood Brown number 4 in a full PPR. So it would be, again, for your scenario, the 3 wide receivers you play are Adams, Cooper, and Evans. As for your follow-up question to that, thoughts on Mecole Hardman? Mecole Hardman could be a value. Again, we saw him get himself a lot of utilization within the red zone last season within this offense. A lot of those jet sweep overall motions prior to the snap, in which, of course, Patrick Mahomes catches it and just throws it forward, and Mecole Hardman's, walking into the end zone. So we saw that, on multiple occasions last season, throughout like a 4-week span there. Let me see here. If I go back to last season, prior to Mecole Hardman's season-ending injury that occurred in week 10, Week 5, he had 10 points. Week 6, he had 11 points. Week 7, he had 26 points. Week 9, he had 16.9 points. So he is of value. I mean, like last season, he scored a touchdown in 4 of his total 8 games played. Like he's going to be utilized, but is he going to get more touches and or snaps than a Kadarius Toney or Sky Moore, Rashee Rice? To be determined. We'll see how they want to utilize him. Obviously, they traded for him for a reason. I think they need him, and we'll see how much utilization of snap share he gets within the first week back with the team. Scott Green sends in a question. Scott, thank you. Says PPR 12-team league. Pick one. Mims, Kelly, Mitchell, or Dallas. Sorry. So that's Marvin Mims, that's Joshua Kelly, that's Elijah Mitchell, or DJ Dallas. If I'm playing one in a full PPR format, I probably end up playing Elijah Mitchell out of the group and hoping that he gets some volume of touches if they want to limit Christian McCaffrey to a little bit of a capacity, and then maybe the chance of this game becoming a blowout on Monday night and Elijah Mitchell getting a couple rushing attempts in the second half with those overall, scenario. Otherwise, if it's not Mitchell, it's got to be Marvin Mims, and you hope for a huge play down the field. The only issue that I have with Marvin Mims is that he doesn't consistently see himself a high enough target share or volume of opportunity in terms of targets for me to justify suggesting him in any sort of capacity. Like if I go back to last week, he literally had 0 targets, 0 catches. The week prior, 1 catch on 1 target. The week prior, 2 catches on 2 targets. Like he doesn't see enough opportunity, doesn't play enough. So Mitchell would be the suggestion out of the group there. Scott, thank you. We had a question from iShawn101 says Ramondre, my bad. SMH, what happened? Oh, okay. So it wasn't Stevenson. So it's Richardson. It's Ramondre. Okay. Godwin or Ramondre? Let's see here. Who do I have ranked higher in a full PPR? Godwin is there. Yeah, I have Godwin ahead of Ramondre this week in a full PPR. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. Philippos, did you have another question, man? Let's see here. Philippos. All right, Philippos had a follow-up question. Says, should I trade Rice and Palmer for T. Higgins and Alexander Madison? Yes, I would. Again, I mean, you're trading Rice and Palmer, who are technically like the second receiving options within those offenses, for T. Higgins and Madison, which would be a second receiving option of a better capacity who will probably see far more target opportunity, especially now that he's off the bye week, and then he's far more, separated from the rib fracture that he had a couple weeks ago sustained. And then you also get a starting running back in the capacity of Madison. Unless this trade, the trade deadline sees Dalvin Cook being traded back to the Minnesota Vikings, which I doubt. Unless something of that extent happens, Madison's going to continue to maintain as the RB1 of that team. So yeah, I would take Higgins and Madison the rest of the season. Half PPR through wide receiver league. Currently I'm 4-2. Okay, good looking record, good looking team. Bijan, ETN. You have Algier and Charbonnet for the purposes of handcuffs as your running backs. You have Kupp, you have Puka, you have Amon-Ra, you have Michael Thomas, you have JSN. Appreciate the work. Yeah, I'll take the deal. That sounds good to me, man. Thank you for the post. Alrighty, let's see here. Vlad sent in a follow-up question. Vlad said, Wan'Dale Robinson, Latavius Murray, Royce Freeman, or Darrell Henderson, pick one. Wan'Dale Robinson would be my suggestion. Thank you. I'm going to transition back to quarterback and tight end rankings for those of you who need it on screen. I will also answer Dominique's question. Dominique, thank you very much for the super chat. It says half PPR, pick one. Amari Cooper, James Cook, Sam Laporta, Zay Flowers, or Ramondre Stevenson. Out of the group in a half PPR scoring format, let's see. I think it's probably going to be, let's just confirm it. So Zay Flowers is there. Amari Cooper's there. Okay, cool. And then who are your other options? James Cook. Let me see where I have James Cook. James Cook's there. And then, yeah, okay. So of your options, Dominique, I would rank them in the order of Flowers, Cooper, Cook, Stevenson, Laporta. Boom, 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 boom. Half PPR. In another league, JT, Josh Palmer, or KJ Osborne. In that other league, assuming it's a half PPR, I'd probably play JT. If it's a full PPR, I could consider playing Josh Palmer, but I'd probably end up still playing JT there. Thank you. Let's see here. Okay, that's taken care of. Cool. Before we catch up, a reminder. For those of you who are joining us this morning, good morning, welcome, good afternoon. Hope you guys are doing well. Over the course of the last 2 hours of the live stream, we've been answering questions. We'll continue to do so for the next hour of the live stream. Of course, trying to address every single question we potentially have, whether it's directly answering or by proxy answering somebody else's question, and hopefully answering yours in the, in the entire process. The rankings that are on screen to the right of me, okay, literally over there. Goodness, I almost knocked out my microphone. The rankings that are to the right of me, as of this morning, are for a half PPR scoring from my updated as of this morning. These are not rankings from Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday. These are rankings from this morning. So keep that in mind. Additionally, we also have kicker and defensive rankings, as you can see on screen. Boom, bang, bop. We don't have to go ahead and mention them 1,000 times every stream. So those are available if you guys are interested in them. If you guys haven't yet already, for those of you who have joining us or who have been joining us this morning, welcome. Hope you guys are doing well. The only thing I ask, click the like button. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much. Let's get back to answering questions. Jacoby Myers or Deontay Foreman, half PPR. I'd probably play Myers there. It's close, but I'd probably still play Myers. Gibbs or Cousins, full PPR. Oh, usually I like to tend towards playing the quarterback, but I think in that scenario, I think I just play Gibbs. Who's going to be the lead back in San Francisco? Louis, earlier today, yesterday, Christian McCaffrey practiced. Earlier today, it was confirmed that he's going to play tomorrow. So, yeah, Christian McCaffrey is going to be the lead back tomorrow. Craig Reynolds or Darrell Henderson Jr., full PPR. Garcia, I would end up playing Darrell Henderson. Oh, sorry, that's not Garcia's question. Where was it? Whose question was that? Yeah, it was Garcia's question. No, it wasn't. Whose question is that? Why did it update? Where did it go? Where did the question? Oh, there it is. It's Steven's question. Apologies. I played Darrell Henderson there. Now, Garcia's question was Foreman, Javonte, Pickens, KJ Osborne, one running back, one flex. I'd play Javonte Williams as the running back, and I'd play Pickens in the flex there. Camille Garcia, thank you. No problem, Dominique. Ray says Amari Cooper or Devonta Smith. I like them both, but I prefer Devontae. All right, let's see here. There was a couple more super chats sent in my direction. Big Drew 93 says, in a predicament, full PPR, Dobbs, Hoyer, or O'Connell. I have Dobbs ranked the highest. Dobbs is just outside of the top 16. He's my number 17th ranked quarterback. So it would go Dobbs, number 1, Hoyer, number 2. O'Connell's not playing. He's not the starter. Hoyer's the starter. Thank you. James Johnson says, flex, Musgrave or Michael Wilson, PPR. Let me check who I have ranked higher in full PPR. I'm going to assume that it's Musgrave, but it could be different. Musgrave. Here we go. Musgrave is there. Michael Wilson is there. Yeah, I have Musgrave at 70 and Michael Wilson about 9 spots lower than him. So Musgrave is the suggestion. Thank you. Moving on. Defensive rankings. Someone said, yeah. Okay, there it is. I just transitioned the graphic on screen, so check those out. Thank you. We move on from that. Whose question is next? James Johnson, we took care of. Okay, awesome. Connor, thank you very much. It says full PPR, Laporta, Kittle, or Lockett, pick 2. Oh, man. Okay, Kittle has to play. It's tight end. It's National Tight End Day, okay? Let's keep that in mind, everybody. All right, it's National Tight End Day. So tight ends are going to ball out today, right? Surely. What's the scoring format? Full PPR. Let me see who I have ranked higher. Is it Laporta or is it Lockett? I'm going to assume that it's Lockett, but let me just confirm. Yeah, I have Lockett and Kittle ranked higher. Thank you. Let's see here. I got Kyron. Okay, what does it say? No Name says I have Kyron Williams, Justin Jefferson, and James Conner injured. Only one IR spot. I need to drop Justin Fields and pick up a wide receiver to have a full team. What do you think? Yeah, you have to. Got to do what you got to do. And I think that's the best drop of the bunch. That's fine by me. Apollo X Light says half PPR, 10-team league, deciding between Brandon Ayuk or Mike Evans at the flex, already starting Cooper Kupp and AJ Brown. I mean, again, if you want my suggestion, it's Brandon Ayuk. Deebo Samuel's absence only offers more target opportunity for him within the offense. The last time we saw Decoy Samuel out there, or, the lack of Deebo, was primarily against the Arizona Cardinals in that game. Ayuk 6 catches, 148. So that's kind of what I'm leaning my hat on. That's why I've got him so ranked, so highly ranked in an advantageous matchup. Thank you. Let's see here. After the question from Apollo Light, we have a question from Chad Ziegler. Thank you very much, Chad. It says, why Palmer over London? Love the content. So yeah, here's the context. In the last 5-6 games against, okay, let's see here. Where's the, let me see if I can pull it up for reference. That's not it. Here it is. So in the last, I mean, if we just go back in the last couple games, as these two teams have taken each other on, the Chiefs and Chargers, scores have been 38-21, 30-24, 34-28, 24-27, 30-27. The last 5 games have all been shootouts. Couple of these settled in overtime, one way or the other. You know, one of these teams winning. One victory was the Chiefs. One victory was the Chargers in overtime in the last couple of years. They're always higher scoring events. My issue that I have with Drake London is that when we have Desmond Ridder not at home and on the road, it is not the same Desmond Ridder, and that has been apparent based on his home road splits, his passing completion percentage, and the overall upside of Drake London in those scenarios. So I have Palmer just slightly ahead because I'm anticipating a higher scoring game based on the totals of this week, based on like the Vegas lines that are set in terms of total points. If I'm not mistaken, let me check here. The highest scoring game in terms of implication this week is Chargers versus Chiefs, 52 points. It's a higher implicated total than the Dolphins versus Eagles. It's a higher implicated total than 49ers and Vikings, Seattle Seahawks and Cardinals. Yeah, it's the highest by a pretty wide margin. So I'm assuming there's going to be a shootout of sorts, and if there is, Palmer, his utilization will certainly be much needed and could end up, scoring a touchdown in that regard as well. Gareth Taylor says, greetings from Stockholm, Sweden, Andrew. Standard League. I have played ETN. He got me 19.7 fantasy points. I have an RB2 in a flex spot to fill. I've benched Bijan for Swift and Pacheco. Your comment. You've benched Bijan for Swift. Yeah, that's okay. In the standard scoring format, I could justify it. I think there's just as high of a likelihood of touchdown potential in between of all. Yeah, I'm okay with it. I don't mind that. That's fine by me. Usually you want to start Bijan Robinson, but considering you have Swift and you have Pacheco, it doesn't bother me, Gareth. I think that's fine. Let's see here. We had a question that came in from random name. Says, trust Gibbs over DJ Moore this week in the flex. Yes, I would trust him. Thank you. Corey Olson says, PPR. I got Jonathan Taylor in my flex, or I could flex Addison. I'll take JT there. I'm comfortable with that. Let's see here. We had a question in the chat from T3G1. It says full PPR flex 1, Rice, Foreman, or Sutton. Out of those 3, it would be Sutton 1, Rice 2, Foreman 3 in a full PPR scoring format. That would probably be my suggestion. Said you have Mahomes thinking about stacking. That's fine. If you want to stack it, that's fine by me. I don't mind it. I think that there is a potential in which Sutton and Rice probably have very similar numbers in terms of receptions, receiving yards. It's just a matter of who's higher likelihood to score a touchdown. I think both of them are probably relatively similar. I just lean towards the idea of Sutton being able to accomplish it, considering his higher red zone target share amongst the two thus far this season in their respective offenses. Thank you. Let's see. We had a question that came in from, okay, so we took care of Corey Olson's question. We had a question from Victor, 6PD, says, start Goff or Watson? I like Goff a lot today. Thank you. After that question, we move on to Rusty Wright. Rusty, hope you're doing well. Long time no see. Says, Javonte significantly ahead of Foreman, question mark? Yes, I would say so. Or similar tier. Let me see. In a half PPR scoring format, I have Javonte Williams in a different tier than Deontay Foreman. They're in, it's one tier separated, but yes, they're separated by a tier. Thank you. Appreciate it. Moving on. We have a question from Dan Sek. Dan, where's your question, my man? Dan the man. Where's Dan Sek's question? Dan says, love the show. Thanks for doing what you do. I need to start one. Downs or Moss against Cleveland? Half PPR Moss, full PPR Downs. Thank you. All right, moving on to Justin's question. Says, start Jaden Reed or Royce Freeman, full PPR. I'll take Royce Freeman there. Thank you. Moving on to Parker A. Says, DK with the injury, London or Elijah Mitchell worth DK risk? Let's see. When does the... So considering the Tampa Bay Buccaneers take on the Atlanta Falcons in about 50 minutes, my assumption would, my only question, Parker, my only question in this scenario is, do you have an alternative option to DK Metcalf that is not Elijah Mitchell? Is there anybody else on your waivers that is available? Can you pick up a Jackson Smith and Jigba? Can you go ahead and pivot if in fact he does not play? Because we won't know until the afternoon slate. If you don't have an alternative option, just play London and just, avoid the risk. Otherwise, if it's me, I'm looking for an alternative option just in case, because I want to risk it for the biscuit with DK. Thank you. Sean Mindset said, should I start Cousins or Ritter? That's who I have ranked higher. As of right now, I do have Kirk Cousins ranked higher than Desmond Ritter this week. So that would be my suggestion. Thank you. All right, let me go ahead and transition the rankings back to there so you guys don't have to worry about kicker and defense. All right. We had a question that came in from, let's see here, a couple questions in the chat. Randy said long-term, Kareem Hunt or Roschon Johnson. If I'm dropping Roschon Johnson today for Hunt. Long-term, here's the thing. Roschon Johnson could win the job in Chicago, but how long that's going to take to be determined. I think if you need an option at running back for a consistent basis in the flex going forward, Kareem Hunt serves that and has potential. But I think like in terms of who I'm stashing for long-term, like, oh, okay, they could be of higher value, it would be Roschon. But considering you're making the pivot today just to get Hunt on roster to help your team out, I'm okay with it. That's fine by me. Spencer says, can you show quarterback rankings? We are showing that. Awesome. Thank you. Sean in the chat said PPR pick to Walker, Swift, Bijan, JT. I would play Walker and Swift there. Thanks, Sean. Abe in the chat said, tempting to play Curtis Samuel over Christian Watson. Why do you have Samuel so low? PPR. He doesn't catch the ball very often, and he's very contingent on scoring a touchdown. The yardage is never really there. So if he doesn't score a touchdown in the given week, he's probably going to score himself like 8 to 10 fantasy points, which again, in a full PPR, really is not a great number. In a full PPR, when he scores a touchdown, great. 4 catches, 40 yards, scores a touchdown, 14 points. We love it. But I don't know. I just can't guarantee that he scores a touchdown this week, as much as I like him. How confident are you starting Sutton this week against Green Bay? I mean, I'm as confident as I could possibly be. Am I confident at all? At this point, like, Courtland Sutton continues to surprise me every single game. Like, the fact that he continues to play as well as he has is surprising. So I'm not going to put it past him if he wants to go ahead and have himself another day today against a good defense as such. Real Cole Grant says in a question, thank you, Cole, I appreciate it. Says 12-team PPR. Someone offered me ETN and Deontay Johnson for Devontae Adams and Ayuk. My wide receivers are AJ Brown, Flowers, and Palmer, along with JSN. My running backs are K9, Brian Robinson Jr., and Roschon Johnson. I would probably end up keeping what you have, to be honest. In a full PPR, I understand there is upside in bringing in ETN, but losing the wide receiver depth that you lose, Devontae Adams and Ayuk, that's tough, man. If it wasn't Ayuk and it was like Palmer, I'd be like, yeah, let's go for it. But obviously that trade probably wouldn't be made in that regard, giving up ETN for that. I could understand making the move. Deontay Johnson would just have to be way better than what I expect for that trade to be beneficial for both sides in a full PPR format. Who's your running back depth? K9, Ryan Robinson, and Roschon. Let's see what happens today. If Devontae Adams can have himself another one of these relevant games, let's make the move. I'm fine with it. Sorry, if he has another one of these relevant games, you probably keep. Otherwise, then you can move on. Thank you. John S. says JT, Watson, Addison. Wide receiver 2. Okay, let's see here. So you have JT, Watson, Addison. You need a wide receiver 2 and a flex. Okay, so if it's me, full PPR, I mean, where's Jonathan Taylor comparatively to Addison Taylor? Jonathan Taylor is ranked 2 spots ahead of Addison. So it would go Taylor and Watson. John S. Thank you. Appreciate it. We had Aw122095 says, I know you have Hunt over Algier. Discuss. I don't know what there is to discuss, to be honest. Indianapolis has a worse run-stop defense. Kareem Hunt just gets as many opportunities in the running game. Algier is extremely inefficient in his touches. Also doesn't get himself receiving upside. Algier's just not He's just not the guy he was in week 1. That's just it, unfortunately. I'd hope that he would be better, but he isn't. Let's see here. Phil says, hey, Andrew, I need some help in the flex. Gibbs or Michael Pittman Jr.? I'd play Gibbs there. Thanks, Phil. Appreciate it. Joey B in the chat says, hey, where's Joey B? Where did Joey B go? Thank you, Joey. I appreciate that, man. Much love. You're always supporting the channel, Joey. Thank you. King Shakur 21 says, I need an RB2. I have Madison. I have Jeff Wilson Jr. I have both of the Rams running backs, and I have Mason. Who should I start as my RB2? I would suggest playing Alexander Madison this week. Thank you, King. Jamal Smith says, full PPR. Start Curtis Samuel or Deontay Foreman. In a full PPR, I would lean in the direction of playing Curtis Samuel this week. Thank you. Shane Howard says, hey, Andrew, PPR. Howell or Stafford. Between the two, I have Stafford ranked higher. As for your follow-up question, Jerome Ford or Aaron Jones, I would play Jerome Ford there. As for the follow-up to that, pick 3 wide receivers, Kupp, Watson, Puka Nacua, Deontay Johnson. Yeah, I'll take that. And Amari Cooper. I'll take Kupp and Puka Nacua along with Amari Cooper there. And then the final question is Browns or Raiders. As you guys can see from my rankings on screen, I have the Raiders slightly ahead of the Browns defense. So to wrap it all up, again, Shane Howard. As soon as I saw Sam Howell there in the question, anyway. Stafford, Ford, Kupp, Puka, Cooper, Raiders. Thank you. Let's see here. Vic84 says, hey, Andrew, full PPR, Goddard, Moss, Wilson, or Downs. Out of that group in a full PPR scoring format, I'd probably end up playing Dallas Goedert. Thank you. Let's see here. Figurine says Zach Evans not going to play anymore. No, the assumption, or not the assumption, the expectation is that Royce Freeman and Darrell Henderson will be the 1-2 combo today and going forward until the return of Kyren Williams. Thank you. Okay, let me check a couple things here. All right, thank you. Vic84, we're good to go. Adam Amar says, can you give best guess at Rams running back situation? Yeah, so this is all the context that we know. After last week's injury, okay, where Kyren Williams and Ronnie Rivers both went down with the injury, Zach Evans came into the game and played a couple snaps. Prior to playing those snaps, the only reason he was active in the game was to play on special teams. So he's a special teams player. He's a 6th-round pick. They don't trust him. The reason why we know that they don't trust him is because they signed Darrell Henderson and Myles Gaskin. They also elevated Royce Freeman from being a practice squad running back to joining the active 53-man roster. So on top of that, we also know that Royce Freeman's active, Darrell Henderson's active, Zach Evans probably active to play special teams most likely. But going into the week, from Friday's practice, what we heard, or specifically was reported by the beat writer that is closest to the Rams, is that Royce Freeman was taking the first team or the first reps at the running back drills. So the assumption is that he'll probably be the primary number 1. Darrell Henderson's the more experienced backfield member in terms of pass blocking, protection, knowing the overall jargon of the offense and being able to help in that overall regard. I mean, there's a reason why Cam Akers didn't play over Darrell Henderson to begin last season, is because Cam Akers was a liability on pass blocking situations on 3rd down. So Darrell Henderson certainly will be the 3rd down back. So that's the suggestion. That's why I have Royce Freeman ranked higher and Darrell Henderson 2nd on that overall backfield situation. Thank you, Adam. Chimo says, JT or DK Metcalf? I have Palmer on my bench if DK doesn't go. I'd take the risk. I'd go with the DK risk. Thank you. Mean says, do you think Deontay will play in a full capacity? Deontay Johnson? Absolutely, 100%. Again, he's coming off of a full week of practice, and he's coming off of not only the injured reserve stint that he's been out since week 1, so he missed 5 weeks there in which he's been able to get healthy. So yeah, it was only a hamstring injury too, so it's not like he had any setbacks or anything. So yes, he'll be at a full capacity. I'm 100% sure of that. All right, so we had a question that came in from Toast. Toast, thank you very much. Toast says, have Gabe Davis and Amari Cooper at wide receiver. Reynolds over Gabe Davis? No, I'd still play Gabe Davis over Josh Reynolds. Thank you. Phil sends in a question, says Michael Pittman Jr. or Gibbs. Yeah, we answered that earlier. We'll take Gibbs. And how do we feel about JSN? I just picked him up as a free agent. Is he going to continue to expand in his role? Yes, he will. The primary reason why I liked him so much this week, besides the fact that he played a career high of offensive snaps last week, and also is predominantly playing in the slot position. So if they continue to play a lot more, goodness gracious, 11 personnel sets, which they showed exactly that last week. They played their highest volume of 11 personnel, 1 tight end, 1 running back sets last week. And then they take it on Arizona this week, who, again, doesn't blitz often. They have the league low 16% blitz rate. So they're not going to need to leave in a running back and or a tight end to chip block in order to help this offensive line. On top of it, the primary two, let's see here, Zombino. Did my internet go out? No, it didn't. Okay. Zombino sends in a question. Thank you, Zombino. Says Javonte, London, or Foreman? I'll take Javonte out of the 3. Thank you, Zombino. Ando in the chat said half PPR. My Mixon and Deontay Johnson for Josh Jacobs. My other running backs are Pollard, Swift, McLaughlin. I'm okay with that trade. That works for me. I don't mind that. Jukester says, it's time, Andrew. It's time for what? What are we talking about, Jukester? Run up the likes. Yeah, that'd be greatly appreciated. If you guys could do me a favor and click the like button. It takes 2 seconds out of your day. Definitely does help out a lot. I'll go ahead and transition the rankings once again back to quarterback and tight end on screen so we can take care of that. Thank you. Jesse G says, start 3 running backs. Taylor, Moss, Gibbs, Zeke. Yeah, I'll take Taylor, Moss, and Gibbs. I'll bench Zeke this week. Thank you. Is Christian McCaffrey out? No, he'll be starting tomorrow. Goodness gracious, man. I got something stuck in my... Okay, let's see here. Michael R in the chat said, guide me to the promised land this week, Sir Andrew. Flowers, Javonte Williams, or Foreman in the flex. I'll play Flowers there. Any concerns with windy conditions for Flowers? I think I've made my position very clear in the past. Wind does not bother me. The amount of times over the course of the last 3-4 seasons where we've done Sunday morning live streams where we get a question of, hey, the wind is looking like it's 15 miles per hour. And then we get, we go out there, we watch NFL Red Zone, and the wide receiver goes for 155 receiving yards on 15 catches. The volume of times that has happened in comparison to not is so abundantly clear from my anecdotal experience that I don't care about the wind. Unless the wind is debilitating because of rain and it's going to make it difficult to throw the ball and or catch it because of the rain condition, I could give a give. Thanks for the question, though. I appreciate that. I'm glad that I could reestablish my my very abundantly clear point that I could give a give about weather, unless it's rain. Omar G says, am I crazy for going Ritter over Baker and Russ? I think you're crazy, but, hey, listen, to each their own. I'm not going to judge. Let's hope for the best. Let's hope for the best. DeAndre Warren sent in a question, says, how do we feel about Chuba Hubbard for the next 4 weeks? It depends on what Miles Sanders' status is. I think they'll probably end up splitting the backfield if Chuba Hubbard continues to be as, effective as he is shown to be in the past. Let's see here. Where are we at? Oh, goodness. Where did we go here? Am I crazy? Omar G. DeAndre Warren. Okay, cool. We're on pace. I'm going to try to catch up to the best of my ability. I saw a lot of super chats come in. I'm going to catch up right now. Thank you very much, guys. Choco says, full PPR. Who should I start as my RB2? I got JT, Stevenson, and Ford. Out of the 3 options, I like Ford a lot as the RB2. Thank you. Sam Castillo says, full PPR. Gabe Davis, Freeman, Henderson, Tony. I'll take Gabe Davis there. Thank you, Sam. I appreciate it. MG3 Fit says, full PPR, start tight end and flex. Okay, cool. Laporta, Goddard, Osborne, Brian Robinson. I'll take Laporta as your tight end, MG3, and I'll take Brian Robinson as your flex. Thank you. Shane Howard says, hey, Andrew, flex Watson, Johnson, or Aaron Jones. I'll take Aaron Jones there in the flex. Thanks, man. Omar G says, full PPR, Michael Wilson, Joshua Downs, or Kareem Hunt. In a full PPR, I'll take Josh Downs there. Thank you. We had Josh Berry sends in a question. Thank you, Josh. Says, would you trade Cousins, Jonathan Taylor, and Andrews for Burrow, Stevenson, and Kelsey? Cousins, JT, and Andrews for Burrow, Stevenson, and Kelsey. All right, so Jonathan Taylor and Kelsey could be very similar of value going forward. Stevenson and Andrews, I'd probably lean in the direction of Andrews being a better rest of season value because of the tight end position. But, in terms of overall value, they're probably relatively similar if we're just looking at it objectively as a flex player. And then obviously Burrow's better than Cousins. I already have Montgomery and ET. I don't mind it. Honestly, I don't mind it. I think Jonathan Taylor could make you regret it. I think he really could, but I don't mind it. Let's just put it that way. For now, I don't mind it. I think conventional wisdom would be like, listen, we know that Jonathan Taylor, what his capabilities are, but without Anthony Richardson, the offense has less high upside potential. The offensive line is dealing with a lot of injuries already. Like, I'm not against the idea that Jonathan Taylor could potentially go back to being a top 12 option. I just don't know if he'll be able to justify himself over Kelsey rest of the way. I think they're probably very close in terms of value, so I'm okay with the trade, especially considering you get the upgraded quarterback. Jamal Smith says, should I pick up Royce Freeman and keep Deontay Foreman? I have Kyron Williams in my IR. I need another running back. Okay, so here's my suggestion. My assumption is that going forward, Darrell Henderson will be the value or will be the running back to have in this backfield. Darrell Henderson will probably take over the workload in next week, probably most likely. So I think Royce Freeman this week is potentially the better play, but in your position, I don't think you have to replace. Wait, what do you have again? Should I pick up Freeman or keep Foreman? Yeah, look, at this point, I think Foreman's the better option this week. And considering I expect Darrell Henderson to be the starting running back of the future until Kyron Williams returns from the injured reserve, I wouldn't go and pick up Freeman unless you've got extra roster spots. Thank you. Cody Shannon says, Bijan Robinson or Ayuk flex full PPR? I'll take Ayuk there. Thank you. Let's see here. R Fall says first quarter. Pick one. First question, not first quarter. Pick one. Standard, flex. Najee, Madison, Deontay, Jeff Wilson, or JSN. If I'm picking one in a standard format, it'd probably be Madison. Yeah, it'd probably be Madison out of the bunch. Or Najee Harris second. But yeah, Madison number one. I see you're pretty bullish on Madison. Why? I mean, the expectation is that in a receiving scoring format, half PPR, full PPR, he's going to get himself a pretty solid volume of opportunity in that regard. So that's why I'm relatively bullish on him. Now, in a standard format, when no one's getting any points per reception, like Najee's not going to catch the ball. I guess Deontay will. JSN could. Jeff Wilson could, but they're not going to get that high of a volume of receptions to where, again, if it's a standard format, no one's getting any points from those. Madison still, between him and Najee Harris, probably have the better upside of a touchdown amongst the group and probably have the better likelihood of just raw yards out of the bunch. Thank you. Isaiah Flores says, standard question. James Cook, Amari Cooper, Christian Watson. Out of those options, I'd probably play Amari Cooper or Christian Watson. I'll probably go Cooper for now, though. Super Sherman in the chat asked, would y'all start Keontae Ingram or Tutu Atwell? I think I'd probably play Keontae Ingram there, to be honest. Antonio Chapa, yeah. Antonio Chapa says Saquon, Pacheco, or Puka Nacua. Choose two. Assuming it's a half PPR scoring format. Let me see. Do I have Puka Nacua ahead of? Yeah, it would be Barkley and Puka ahead of Pacheco in a half or full PPR. Thank you. Brian Robinson or Gibbs. Again, rankings are on screen. Hopefully that can help you guys out. For those of you who are wondering. I blipped for a second. Your stream is fine. Okay, cool. I mean, I got fiber optic cables going through. Like, I've upgraded the internet so that I never have an issue. So we're going to always hope, everything's looking good. Anthony says, drop Henderson for Freeman as a sub for Kyron. Drop Henderson for Freeman. Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you want the sub option, yeah, it would probably be Freeman today. How confident are you confident dropping the Lions defense this week? Dropping? What do you mean dropping? Like into the lineup or off the lineup? Because I don't mind dropping them, but I think they're still a solid defense overall. Alrighty, let's see here. We had a question that came from National Champ Rush. Says half PPR, start Darrell Henderson or Keontae Ingram. I'm fairly certain I have Keontae Ingram ranked a little bit lower, right? Keontae Ingram. No, he has ahead. 28 instead of 30. Yeah. Keontae Ingram's the play. Thank you. Moving on. We had Brent McFarland. Thank you, Brent. Appreciate it. Thanks, Andrew, for all the hard work. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it, Brent. Full PPR. Who would you flex? Elijah Moore, Jaleel McLaughlin, Luke Musgrave. In a full PPR scoring format, I would probably end up playing Luke Musgrave there out of the three. Yeah, Luke Musgrave, each of the last 2 games he's played, 6 receptions in each of those contests. On top of it, now he plays against the easiest matchup, or one of the easiest matchups at the tight end position against Denver. I'm pretty comfortable playing Musgrave there over the bunch. Thanks. All right, we had a question that came in from, oh my goodness, I'm trying to catch up. So after Brent, let me make sure I caught up on all those. Yep. Arfall, good. Jamal. Okay, cool. So figure 199 says, full PPR, Jeff Wilson or Royce Freeman? I'll take Royce Freeman there. Thank you. Adam Amar says, start 2, Latavius Murray, Royce Freeman, Elijah Moore, Wan'Dale Robinson. If I'm starting 2 of the 4, I would probably end up playing Wan'Dale alongside of, oh goodness, do I want to start Royce Freeman over Elijah Moore in a half PPR? Probably. I'd probably go Freeman and Wan'Dale. If it's a full PPR, I'd probably go Moore and Wan'Dale. Thank you. Let's see here. Eddie in the chat, or in the super chat, says full PPR, Addison or Watson? I'll take Watson there. Thoughts on Tank Dell rest of the season? Should be a solid play as a wide receiver 2 of that offense that's looked great in the passing game. Let's see here. Reuven Roberts says full PPR, Addison, Madison, Downs. I'd probably end up playing Jordan Addison out of the group. Thank you. Speak says RB2, Stevenson, Gibbs, Ford. Give me Gibbs. Thank you. Moving on. We had a question that came in from, by the way, somebody earlier today asked me if I'd rather, let me find it. Shane Howard, if you're still there, play Aaron Jones over Jerome Ford. Play Aaron Jones over Jerome Ford. Thank you. All right, catching up. Where are we at here? After Reuven Roberts, Speak Your Piece Sport said, yeah, we'll take Gibbs there. Speak, thank you. Robert sends in a question. Coder Camp says, full PPR flex, Jerome Ford or Zay Flowers? I'll take Zay Flowers there. Thank you. Moving on. Adam Amar says, Thielen or Ramondre Stevenson? I have Ayuk and Kupp. Thielen for Ramondre? I mean, can you not play Thielen every week in the flex? Like, I feel like that's just, he's automatic points, man. Yeah, I don't know if I trust enough in Ramondre. I think Ramondre could probably get back to being like 12 points every week, but in a full PPR, it's going to be tough for him to outscore Thielen, honestly. Donahue Brown says, hey, Andrew, full PPR, Javonte Williams or Jaylen Warren? I'll take Javonte there. Thank you. Moving on to Paul Taylor. Paul Taylor says, full PPR, pick 2, Aaron Jones, Zay Flowers, Hollywood Brown. Pick 2 of those 3. I would probably play Aaron Jones alongside of Zay Flowers there. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it. Much love. Moving on to RZ King. Says, Goff or Watson? I prefer Goff. Thank you. Need the highest upside? Yeah, I think Watson's, he's got upside because of rushing potential, but I do believe Goff is the better upside play. Let's see here. Somebody in the chat was saying, isn't there a 40% chance of rain in Seattle today? Let's see here. Let's look at the weather report. My latest weather report, as for the Seattle game, says 11% chance of precipitation. Precipitation. 11% chance. That's my latest report. Now, it could change by the time we get to the afternoon slate, but I'd venture to say that it's probably not going to rain today. Unless someone's in Seattle right now and they're telling me it's, raining cats and dogs. Let's see here. Someone in the chat just asked, how do we feel about points per passing completion? I like the idea of points per passing completion percentage, but points per completion should not exist. Unless it's 0.1 points per completion, I could understand that. But outside of that, it's just irrelevant. I've played in the league before where it's 6 points per passing touchdown, 4 points per interception, and you get an additional like a multiplier to the passing completion percentage that you have. Those could work too. All right, moving on. After RZ King, we had Mr. Noodle says, what two out of these would you play? Henderson, Moss, Ingram, Edwards. Moss and Ingram would be the two that I would play. Thank you. We had a question that came in from Jake Thompson. Thank you very much, Jake. Jake says, full PPR, Jacoby Myers with a backup QB or McLaughlin? I'll take the backup QB with Jacoby Myers. Thank you. Cody Shannon says, Brian Robinson Jr. or Mike Evans in a full PPR? I'll take Mike Evans there. Thank you. Moving on, we had a question from Noel. It says, full PPR, start Terry McLaurin or Brian Robinson Jr. I'll take Terry McLaurin. Thank you. William L. says, full PPR, cut two, Amari Cooper, Swift, Nakua, or Ayuk. If I'm sitting two of these players, I'm sitting Amari Cooper, and I'm probably sitting Puka Nakua, and I'm playing Swift and Ayuk over them. Thanks. Nick sends in a question. It says, Buffalo, Cleveland, Tampa Bay, Las Vegas, Green Bay defense on waivers. All right, so just showing you guys defensive rankings on screen as of right now. Buffalo, Cleveland, Tampa Bay, Las Vegas, Green Bay. I'd play Tampa Bay out of the bunch. Actually, no, Buffalo. What am I saying? Buffalo number 1 against New England. Fantastic. Let's play that. Buffalo number 1, Tampa Bay number 3. So yeah, let's go with Buffalo if it's available, Nick. Thank you. Stephen Drake. Steven, what's up, man? Hope you're doing well. Says half PPR. I need a flex. Henderson, Mayer, Warren, or JSN. Half PPR, I think it's probably safest to just play Jalen Warren there. Yeah, if in fact we get to the afternoon slate, which of course the Pittsburgh Steelers take on the LA Rams in LA in SoFi, if in fact prior to the game between Seattle and Arizona, if DK Metcalf is inactive, you'd play JSN. Otherwise, play Warren today. Steven, thank you. All right, let's see here. We had a question that came in from Dual Walkthroughs. Says, pick 2, half PPR Downs, JMO, Deontay Foreman, Henderson. Highest floor belongs to in a half PPR. Deontay Foreman and Josh Downs probably have the highest floor. The highest upside, belongs to Deontay Foreman and Jamison Williams. Thank you. Moving on to Abdullah. Abdullah says Evans or Gibbs in a full PPR. Let me check who I have higher. In a full PPR, I have Gibbs there, and I have Evans ahead of him. Thank you. Moving on, we have Alex Graz. Says standard league, Pickens or Rashad White. I will standard league, Pickens or Rashad White. I don't even know. That's not easy at all. Does Rashad White score a touchdown today, or does Pickens have higher? I'm going to go with Pickens there. Thank you. Moving on, we had Anthony send in a question. It says, full PPR, I need 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 2 flex. Best lineup possible. Okay. You have London, Cooper, Barkley, Wilson, Palmer, Dobbs, Hunt, Henderson, Hardman, pick up Michael Wilson or Freeman. Okay, so of the available options you have, Barkley's your RB1. I would be very comfortable picking up Freeman and playing him as your RB2. But if you can't, you play Hunt there as your RB2, probably, if you don't need to make any moves. Yeah. Otherwise, it is Freeman, but they're back-to-back in my rankings, so I'm fine just rolling with Hunt there. So Barkley and Hunt, RB1 and 2. Amari Cooper as your wide receiver 1, and probably Josh Palmer as your wide receiver 2. And then we roll with London as your flex 1 and Romeo Dobbs as your flex 2. Thank you. Appreciate it. Y sends in a question. Says full PPR, flex 1, JSN, Judy, AJ Dillon, Najee Harris. JSN, Judy, AJ Dillon, Najee Harris. PPR, I'd probably end up playing Judy out of the bunch. Considering they play in the afternoon slate, my suggestion to you at this moment, let me see here. Week 7. Considering they play in the afternoon slate, if by the time we get to the afternoon, if DK Metcalf is out, you play JSN ahead of Judy. Otherwise, you play Judy today. Thank you. Anthony Gonzalez says half PPR Sutton or Pickens. I think they're very close. I'm going to lean towards Pickens there, though. Let's see here. Why Goff over Stafford? I mean, look, if you think that Stafford is going to blow out the Pittsburgh Steelers, then you play him. If not, I think there's a very high likelihood that Goff probably goes for another one of these games where he has 250 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and is a really safe play that also has additional upside because there is no Montgomery. there could just be an even higher chance of him getting more passing utilization down in the red zone, which my expectation going up against Baltimore, as I guess good of a defense as they could be, I don't think they're an elite defense, and I think Jared Goff probably rolls through them and has an upside of potentially scoring 3 touchdowns within the given week. Stafford also has the potential. I just don't see it as likely going up against Pittsburgh. Let's see here. Where are we at? Okay, Anthony Deku. My Hero Academia, huh? Deku. Says Purdy or Watson. I'll take Purdy there. Hunt, Zeke, Edwards, or Reynolds. I'll take Hunt there. Thank you. We had a question from Ryan Espinoza. Says half PPR, JSN, Elijah Moore, Wandale Robinson. We'll take Wandale Robinson out of the 3. Thank you. Andrew Bassel says Jackson Smith and Jigba or Rashee Rice. It says Jameer in Jigba or Rice if Metcalf is out. If Jameer is Jameer Gibbs, I'm playing Jameer Gibbs out of the 3. Thank you. Carrie sends in a question. Thank you, Carrie. Carrie says Elijah Moore, Curtis Samuel, or Rice Freeman. Pick which one. If I'm playing one of the 3, I'm probably comfortably playing Curtis Samuel there. I think there's just a safer floor of production between him amongst the rest. Let's see here. We had a question from Jeremy Williams. Says Lockett or Stevenson, half PPR. Let me see who I have higher. I'm fairly certain I'm going to have Ramondre Stevenson higher. Yeah. Where is it? Yeah, let's go. Oh, wow. They're back-to-back in my rankings. Let's go Stevenson there. Does he play in the afternoon? Let me check here real quick. No, he doesn't. Okay. Yeah, just let's roll. Ah, man. I'm trying to avoid risk. Let's play Lockett there. Let's play Lockett over Stevenson in a half PPR, Jeremy. Thank you. It's close. They're back-to-back in my rankings, but let's do that for now. Let's see here. Andrew Durfee. Where's Andrew Durfee? Andrew Durfee. There's no question attached. Andrew, if you could do me a favor, type in the chat, it'd be greatly appreciated. Mo Money says, hey, Andrew, should I start Dobbs or Hunt in a PPR? I'll play Dobbs there. Anti-Slayer says, full PPR flex. Hendo, Pickens, ranked 30th and 28th. Yeah, it doesn't really matter where they're ranked in terms of their interpositional rankings. Across my flex, Pickens is way higher than Hendo. Thank you. Let's see here. Andrew Durfee sends in a follow-up question. There we go, Andrew. Says, half PPR, McCole Hardman or Jameson Williams? Jameson Williams is my suggestion. Thank you. Alrighty, let's see here. Reynolds or Bourne, says Jacob Figueroa. Again, the rankings on screen are how I would approach it. So I have Kendrick Bourne slightly ahead of Josh Reynolds today. So I would go as such. That's just my suggestion. You don't have to follow it, but that is available if, in fact, you plan on taking advantage of it, potentially. Where is this at? Let me see here. I got to check some of my lineups just in case. I don't want to have anything going on here that is going to jeopardize my week, potentially. Okay, let me see here. Yeah, what I'm going to probably do is this. I need to go make some changes here. Okay, boom. All right, getting back to answering questions. Just wanted to go ahead and fix one of my lineups here just in case. Come on, hurry up. Changing the defense. Thank you very much. All right, kicker defense. We're good to go. Boom, boom, boom. Awesome. And we're good to go. All right, moving on. We had a question that came in from Alex Pagan. Thank you, Alex. Says DJ Moore or Gibbs. I'll take Gibbs there this week. Thank you. Brett says DJ Moore or Javonte Williams this week. Okay, good question. That one is a little bit more. Let's see here. DJ Moore or Javonte Williams. Where is he comparatively? Let's see. I'm fairly certain I have in a half PPR Javonte ahead of him. Let me just confirm. Yeah, in a half PPR I have Javonte Williams ahead of DJ Moore. Thank you. We had a question from Cinco2X. Says PPR Madison or White? Rams running back or White? I would rather play Madison over White and then White over to the Rams running backs. Thank you. Brian sent in a question just recently, but there wasn't anything attached to it, Brian. Hopefully you can type in the chat. Thank you very much. Let's see here. Njoku or Mayer. Again, rankings are on screen. Let me go ahead and transition back to tight ends and kicker, or tight ends and quarterbacks from kickers and defenses. Did my camera go out of focus? It did. Can it potentially go back into focus? No, doesn't matter, I guess, huh? Let's move this out of the way for a little bit. Hello, camera, wake up, buddy. Wake up, buddy. All right, here we go. I think it's woken up now. Thank you. All right, a couple things that I wanted to share before we close out today's stream, because again, we got another 14 minutes, but let's see where we're at here. Okay, we're cool. Awesome. Thank you. We're good. Never mind. No worries. We're good to go. Brian, where are you? Nothing in the chat yet. Okay, so until Brian types, Charles says pick one: DJ Moore, Jacoby Myers, Jonathan Taylor. I'd probably play Jonathan Taylor in a half PPR. Probably go with DJ Moore in a full. Logan in the chat says, Logan Carmen says, Deontay Johnson or Jalen Warren in a full PPR. I think Jalen Warren is pretty safe. I think he's pretty safe. The higher touchdown upside is with Deontay Johnson. So in a full PPR, I'd probably go with Deontay. Love or Lamar with the wind. If you don't, listen, don't ask me about wind. I'm always going to tell you to play the players in the wind. I don't care. Especially with Lamar. Lamar's a running quarterback. Like, the wind is not going to impede him that much. If it's a complete blizzard out there, so be it. It doesn't bother me. Don't ask me about wind. I'm the last person that's ever going to change my mind about my ranking because of wind. Let's see here. Ford or Robinson. I mean, again, rankings are on screen. I have Robinson just slightly ahead of Ford by a couple of slots there, but I do like Brian Robinson Jr. ahead of him. Thank you. Let's see here. Did I miss anybody's questions from earlier? I think we took care of all those. We took care of that. Okay, so we had a couple more that were just sent in. Jose Alberto, thank you, Jose, says, I'm short on RB this week. I have Christian McCaffrey, Javonte Williams as starters. Okay, awesome. In the flex, I have Pickens. Okay, should I go and replace him with Royce? No. In a full PPR, I would play Pickens. You're good to go there, Jose. Thank you. Andrew says, Jackson Smith and Jigba or Rice if Metcalf is out. If Metcalf is out, I'd play JSN ahead of Rice this week. Thank you. Phil says, Andrew, real quick question. Aaron Jones or Mike Evans in the flex? Let me see who I have ranked higher. I'm fairly certain I'm going to have Mike Evans slightly ahead of him. Primarily because I just want to be careful with my ranking of Aaron Jones. So Mike Evans is there and Aaron Jones is there. Yeah, I have Mike Evans ahead of him. Primarily because, again, I don't know what kind of capacity he'll be at. I'm assuming it'll be at a 75% capacity. Not a full workload, but enough to where he's still going to be a solid RB play today. Let's see here. Logan C says Laporta or Myers. I'd probably go with Laporta there. Kyle Pitts or Cole Kmet. Kyle Pitts is ranked higher on screen. RB19 or wide receiver 30, full PPR. Who's RB19? Foreman or wide receiver 30? Who's that? Romeo Dobbs? In a full PPR, I'd rather play Romeo Dobbs. Thank you. Let's see here. Cortland Sutton or Zach Moss, full PPR. I'd probably go with Cortland Sutton there. Logan C. Okay, same question. We're good to go. Kevin in the chat said Cortland Sutton or Zach. Okay, we took care of that one. Kicker rankings, yeah, let me switch them on screen real quick so you can check that out. And then after you check that out, we'll continue on. Didi, thank you very much, Didi. I appreciate it. It says 0.25 per reception. Kittle on waivers. Wow, okay. My opponent has already played Kamara, ETN, and the Jaguars defense. I need max upside in the flex for the waiver. I only have Judy Laporta and Wanda Robinson. Yeah, I would scoop and play Kittle. I think the risk is worth the reward. Evans or Stevenson? I'd rather play Stevenson. Evans isn't even in my rankings. Or actually, I'm assuming that's Mike Evans. If that's Mike Evans, it's Mike. Yes. Sorry, I was assuming it was Zach Evans for some reason because I saw Evans and Stevenson. If it's Mike Evans, I would rather play him over Ramondre. Yes. Addison, Foreman, or Rashad White, pick two. I'm fairly comfortable going Addison and Foreman there, Mark. South Central says McLaughlin or Hunt. I'd go with Hunt. Again, rankings are on screen, guys. Okay, McCaffrey will play on Monday. Expects somewhat similar role. Yeah, that's why Elijah Mitchell's ranked. Okay, Seahawks or Raiders defense. Again, Raiders are higher ranked on my screen. Thank you very much. Kittle's on the waivers. What kind of league of it? I'm gonna assume it's probably like a 6-team league if I had to guess. B normally says PPR. Start Cooper or Lockett with chance of DK out. I'm still gonna play Cooper there. I mean, I like Lockett a lot. Don't get me wrong. The rankings kind of demonstrate that, but I'm still gonna roll with Cooper. Foreman or Laporta PPR. I had to go with Laporta there. Let's see here. No problem, Mark. Antonio says Royce Freeman or McLaughlin. Again, I mean, the rankings are right there. It's literally right up there. Up there. Look. McLaughlin 27, Royce Freeman 25. Royce Freeman's my suggestion. Moby1, what's up, Martin? Says Aaron Jones or Devonta Smith in the flex. Ooh. Listen, Martin, I would probably just lean towards playing Devonta Smith. I'm deathly afraid of a potential in which Aaron Jones' old hamstring gets restrained or something of that extent. I think the alternative option you have in the shootout that is expected between the two teams in Philly is better off. It's just risk versus reward. I'm worried about it more than usual because of the alternative option you have. Otherwise, I would just pick Aaron Jones. Are the rankings on screen standard or PPR? It's half PPR, meeting everyone in the middle. So it's half PPR. Thank you. Let's see here. Jay sends in a super chat. Thank you very much, Jay. Jay says, what's the reasoning behind Ford over Hunt? What? Higher snap counts, higher rushing attempt counts. Kareem Hunt is dealing with a huge quad injury that is pretty much kept him out of practice for majority of the week. Will probably be lesser of himself than usual. He scored a touchdown last week, but it wasn't on the goal line. It was rather 16 yards away, but it was in the red zone. Ford is going to be the better play. He plays more. He's the better running back as of this current moment in time, and we'll probably see a higher workload opportunity than last week in comparison. Also, Ford or McLaurin in the flex. If I'm playing one of the two, I would even a half PPR. Who do I have ranked higher in a half PPR? In the flex, where do I have Ford in comparison? Where's McLaurin? So I have Ford there, and I have McLaurin ahead of him. So yeah, it would be Ford for sure, but potentially as a starting running back. But otherwise, I'll take McLaurin ahead of him. G. Hefe says, you answered my question, but daughter distracted me. Okay. But Watson or Drake London PPR? Yeah, I'll take Watson there. Thank you. Marcos Rivera says, Watson, Stafford, Love, rest of season. Rest of season, I'll still take Deshaun Watson there if he remains healthy. Otherwise, it's Stafford. Like the Jeans says full PPR. RB2, Hunt or Jeff Wilson Jr. I'm okay with Hunt there. If you want to play Jeff Wilson, you certainly can. Dilo says, let's get the likes to 1,000. Yeah, if we could, guys, that'd be greatly appreciated if we get to 1,000 likes before the end of today's stream. There's about 6 minutes left. So Vicia Soak sends in a question. Thank you, Sovicia. Hope you're doing well. Says 1 point per reception. Goff or Watson? I like Goff. I mean, I think Watson's a great play, but I do prefer Goff. Marquise Hollywood Brown, Christian Watson, or Jaylen Warren. Of those three, I'll take Marquise Brown. So it would go Brown, Watson, Warren in that order, but Brown would be my suggestion along with Goff. Thank you. Drake London or Javonte Williams. It would be Javonte in a half PPR, Drake London in a full PPR. Okay. Best RB2, Brian Robinson or Stevenson. I like Brian Robinson against the Giants. The Giants are the third best running back matchup in terms of running back rushing statistics. Jamison Williams, 1.5 receptions, higher or lower. Goff, 1.5 sacks taken, higher or lower. I would probably venture to say that the Jamison Williams number is higher likelihood. In terms of my favorite play via Underdog today, I think it was Lamar Jackson higher than 29.5 passing attempts, and then Cooper Kupp higher than his yardage count. Let me go find it. Underdog, can you open? Why is it not opening? Hello? Underdog. Website, please open. Something went wrong. Please refresh the page. I did. Okay. Well, that didn't want to open. Yeah. So my favorite play for this week is Lamar Jackson higher on his passing attempts and Cooper Kupp higher on his receiving yards. Thank you. Moving on. We had Shivam Patel says KJ Osborne, Rashi Rice, or Kendrick Bourne. I'll take Rashi Rice out of the group. Thank you. Appreciate it, Shivam. Foreman or Jay Williams? I'll take Jay Will. Assuming Jay Will is Javonte and not Jeff Wilson. Fernando. Let's see here. Goff or Cousins? Again, Goff on screen is ranked 8th. Cousins isn't even on screen. I think he's my number 18th ranked quarterback. If I had to guess, I think that's what it is. King has a question. It says, Christian McCaffrey owner thinking about swapping Zay Flowers out for the flex for Addison for tomorrow to cover Christian McCaffrey. I mean, Christian McCaffrey is expected to play. If you want to, you can go for it, but I would play Flowers and I wouldn't worry about it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Stafford or Howell? I have Stafford ahead of him. Madison or Rice in the flex full PPR? I think if you're looking for... Jeez, man. If Madison scores a touchdown, he's going to outscore him so easily. I think they're relatively close in terms of base floor. Upside's probably leading towards that Madison there. Let's see here. Pollard or Nakua, full PPR. Pollard doesn't even play this week, so I don't know what you're talking about. So play Nakua. Pollard for Nakua. I apologize. I'm not reading. No, I'd probably keep Pollard there. Brian Robinson Jr. or Cooper. Amari Cooper. I'd probably, let's see here. Where do I have Amari Cooper comparatively? Amari Cooper is there. I have Amari Cooper one spot ahead of Brian Robinson Jr. and a half PPR. One spot ahead. 24, number 25 in my flex rankings. Okay, Higbee or Logan Thomas? I have Logan Thomas ahead of him. Half PPR, Flowers or Addison? I play Flowers. JT, Hawkinson, or Lockett? Full PPR. I'd play Lockett there. Constantino says, AK, putting the final touch on yet another fire week. Fantasy contest, smash the like button. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate that, Constantino. Can we get quarterback rankings? Yeah, I apologize, man. I keep forgetting that that's not on. You think DK is playing? Should I throw London in instead? It depends, Roman. If you have an alternative option like JSN or someone in the afternoon like a Romeo Dobbs or a Cortland Sutton or a Jerry Jeudy to pivot from DK Metcalf, you can wait until he plays. If not, I guess if you don't have a pivoting option, you play London and not risk it. Okay, Warren or Darrell Henderson? I'll take Warren there. Seed, yeah. Keys asks, full PPR, Wan'Dale Robinson or JSN, fellas? I would play Wan'Dale Robinson. Thank you. Keontae Ingram or Jeff Wilson Jr.? I'll take Keontae. McKinnon or Slayton or Hardman PPR? I'll take Darius Slayton there, Justin. Rice, Taylor, or Godwin? I'll take Godwin there in a full PPR. Taylor in a half PPR. Steven, okay, no problem. Henderson or Hunt? I'll take Hunt there this week. Thank you. Rice, Zach Moss, or Freeman in the flex full PPR? I'll probably take Rice there. May the fantasy gods bless us all. Yes, may the fantasy gods bless us all. But additionally, may the fantasy gods protect all the players, please. Can the NFL have 1 week with no major injuries? Like I'm sick and tired of injured reserve players every Monday going into Tuesday to where we're like, okay, well, half our teams are dead now. Like could we just stay healthy for 1 week? Kareem Hunt or Curtis Samuel? I'd probably play Curtis Samuel there. Nomad. Let's see here. We had a question from Rashad White or Javonte today. I'll take Javonte Williams. Yeah, I'll take Javonte. Okay. Awesome. Boom, bang, bop. Brian says, pick one, full PPR. Pittman, Moore, Myers, Foreman. Pittman, Moore, Myers, okay, yeah, I'll take DJ Moore out of that group there, Brian. Brian Seacrest. Yeah. I'll take DJ Moore and Myers there, first 1 and 2. Why are you down on Jeff Wilson Jr.? The issue that I have with Jeff Wilson Jr. is the fact that if in fact, for example, the Miami Dolphins don't score 40 points today, Jeff Wilson's not scoring a touchdown. Now he could, but the likelihood is that it will go to Ramondre Stevenson, Raheem Mostert. I was looking for an R word and I couldn't find it. It'll go to, I almost said Ramondre again. It'll go to Raheem Mostert, Tyreek Hill, or Jalen Waddle. That's the highest likelihood. So the assumption is, Jeff Wilson Jr. coming off of IR isn't as necessary of an option in this offense to where I'm like, yeah, I have to play him. And also, Salvin Ahmed didn't go anywhere. He still also could get himself utilization within his backfield for sure. All right, guys. I appreciate it. It's 10 a.m. Good luck to everyone. Best of luck. No injuries, high upside, fantastic performances. It's tight end. It's National Tight End Day. Could we get a week where tight ends just pop off? Could we get a week where we're not the lowest scoring season in NFL history? I saw some stats from Warren Sharp earlier this week on Twitter. It's the lowest scoring season. It's the lowest, conversion rate on red zone opportunities in like the last decade of football. It is one of the worst seasons we've ever experienced, and injuries don't really help. So let's go ahead. Let's stay healthy. Let's have upside performances. Let's have some exciting games tonight. Miami versus Philadelphia. Exciting. Should be a fun slate. I do appreciate y'all. For those of you who have stuck around, for those of you who have asked questions, answered questions, click the like button, who have sent in super chats, greatly appreciate it. Much love to all of you. We'll be back tomorrow with some waiver wire potential options. Thank you everybody for watching. And until next time, I'm going to cue the music, and Andrew's going to be off and away watching Red Zone for the next 13 straight hours of commercial free. Thank you very much. See you guys. Peace.